Key details on this announcement of this credit guarantee scheme, and they have stated that the loan to small borrowers would be capped at 1% below the 6-month average lending period, and at least 5% lending would be there for this financials on this NBFC MFI announcement.
All right, thanks so much, Sharad, for that. We're at the low point of the day for the benchmark Nifty 50, and there's considerable selling. 2,600. Pull up the heat map for the Nifty 50 because that will give you a perspective of what we're talking about. There is only a spot of green, just about 4 stocks that continue to trade in the green, and the most selling once again with Shriram Finance, which is taking the brunt of the selling once again. Gold prices have been declining, and we've been wondering why, but that has a bearing on jewelry companies as well as financial companies that use gold loans. So Titan is down about to the financial pack. State Bank of India losing close to 4% as well. Interglobe Aviation, one thought that the benefit of the removal of the cap on airfares would have a bearing, but no, the market the company. Larsen & Toubro coming out with a clarification over the weekend saying 95% of its projects in West Asia continue to operate. The street is not too focused on that right now, saying that they're global markets as well, down 3%, 3.3% for Larsen & Toubro. We've got lots to talk about, but I'm sure that you've got questions and you can send them to us on our WhatsApp of this edition of India Market Open. From Neeraj, Hiral, myself and the team that put the show together, thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned. This is NDTV Profit.
हर पल मनाओ केसरी त्योहार।
सिर्फ लकड़ी ही नहीं, हमारा कल भी तराशते हैं। बंद हो या हो कोई स्ट्राइक, इनका शटर हमेशा खुल जाता है। इन हाथों का यही तो आपसे नाता है और इन्हें हम आसानी से लोन देकर
To understand the Tamil Nadu twist, join me in the
He has been tracking markets for over a decade, spots the trends before they hit the screen. Watch Sharad Dubey on Know Your Company, a show that puts the most traded stocks under the scanner. We dissect the company so that you watch Know Your Company weekdays at 11:30 a.m. to understand your next big bet.
with a hand in hand. Will the two leaves and lotus bloom? Who will whistle to success in Tamil Nadu? To understand the Tamil Nadu twist, join me in the midst of our politics and
Hi, I'm Tamanna Inamdar. Watch me on NDTV Profit, where I break down the day's biggest business stories. What happened, why it
on NDTV Profit for the most incisive market intelligence and meaningful corporate conversations.
And I'm Alex Matthew. Markets, mutual funds, insurance. You can watch us.
He has been tracked.
Smiling much considering the way the markets are going right now, because the Nifty 50 is now below the 22,600 levels as well. At least we started below the 2,700 as well, but now below the 20 stays low point, down 2.5% for the Nifty 50. Let's try to pull up the heat map and see as to what are the counters that are putting that kind of pressure on the Nifty. We've followed by some steel names which saw some positivity on trade in Friday, but Tata Steel seeing a downtick of around 4%. You also have names like JSW Steel, which is also down go in that range of 4%. If you take a look at some gainers, ONGC still holding the fort, up 1.7%, followed by HCL Tech, which is up almost 1%, followed by let's try to pull up the Nifty Bank and see as to where that is trading at. The Nifty Bank is also trading with cuts of over 3% now in that 51,700 levels. As to what sectors are looking like, and I'm guessing that the entire screen is red, and yes, that's correct. Metal is losing the most ground, down 4.4%, followed by PSU banks, which is seeing a downtick of around 4%. Followed by Nifty financial services and banks seeing downtick of around 3% each. Let's try to pull up the advanced decline ratio, because the picture at the broad end of spectrum is also not looking nice. I mean, if you take a look at the advanced decline ratio, and that's reflective.
That's not on us also. We're not dressed like that today, like either in the red or in the green, but continuous pressure that we're seeing today. I think this is the new low, 122 advances today, and while we did see some and that got very quickly sold into, and now we've broken where we started off with. So that's consistently showing. Shriram Finance, as Mahima highlighted, it's down 20% from 26th February, and so is Bajaj. Consistent pressure. Bajaj Finance has now broken the 800 rupee mark as well. So it's pressure all around the board. Just quickly looking at the broader markets as well, the mid cap and the small cap, if you can pull that up. The small cap as well, and we've seen rather both these benchmarks mirror the Nifty at this point of time in terms of pressure, but it has been exacerbated more both on the upside and the downside. So you see was on our radar, but and NOSIL continues to be up almost 11.4%, but the losers, you'll see almost 6 to 7% across the board. Morbi as well as the LNG supply shock is now having a big impact even on the market leaders. Petronet LNG continues to be under pressure, so is Muthoot Finance at this point of time. But we are looking to answer all your stock related queries at this point of time. So let me welcome in Gaurav Sharma, equity research at SMC Global Securities on the fundamentals. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining today. An important session, because Markets clearly under pressure. Let me go across take essentially. Would you suggest that it's a good time right now, or would you wait a little bit more for a counter that's done well for investors over the past few years?
It is one of the best counters. Revenue will move upwards because of the the upcoming revision in the rates, which may happen during 2026, and which will again will help them grow their margins in a staggered manner and for the long term.
Okay, all right. So that's the view coming in on Bharti Airtel. The next one is coming on Cochin Shipyard, and this is from Deepak, who's writing us from Mysore. He's holding 50 exit. Gaurav, I'll come to you on this one. Very good morning to you. What are the charts indicating for Cochin Shipyard?
Hi, Mahima. Morning. Thanks for having me today. So, the performance, and so is Cochin Shipyard at the moment. Yes, it is trading close to its supports, but since the query is for a shorter term duration, so I'll suggest them to take some possibility that a U-turn from these levels can be seen. As of now, hold.
All right, we've got our first caller for the day. Gaurav is calling us from Gujarat. Gaurav, a very good morning to you. What's your query about? Okay.
So I want a technical chart view for 3 to 6 months.
Okay, got your question, Gaurav. I'll take this up with Gaurav then. Gaurav, for Senco Gold, what are the charts indicating? In the remain intact with regards to where gold prices will be in the next 1 year?
Absolutely, we do maintain a bullish stance for metal. For investors, but again, considering the current price positioning, it is near the support levels. So I think he should hold on to his position, take a stop at 5.
Got that view, Gaurav, and thanks so much for that. But the next question, and that's been on everybody's radar, right? It's HDFC Bank. Now, we have multiple queries here, so I'll just take a couple of them and sort. Madhukar, on the other hand, holds shares at 510. But just a broader view of what did you make of the sudden exit of the chairman in the last week? We've seen the at 1.5, 1.6 time price to book. Is it a screaming buy, Saurabh, at this point of time, or would you still wait, given that this could have some impact on valuations?
The MD of the bank itself. I think from that perspective, I think investors should not be nervous with respect to any wrongdoing in the bank. But yes, something is there. In fact, many of the good stocks are falling because of the conditions in the markets. But yes, I'll stay put. I mean, I would recommend to add more or buy in a staggered manner. Earnings of the bank and also the guidance for the next fiscal year. I think till then one should wait. And apart from investing in HDFC Bank, if one has to take position in the private sector space for the long term,
there's also the persistent pressure on the stock, maybe in terms of valuations, that what most brokers have highlighted, and a very important aspect as well, that in the next 6 months, Saurabh recommends a good time to buy in a staggered manner. Let's go across to Amit now from Bengaluru. He has a stock query for us on call. Amit, good afternoon. Welcome to the show. What's your query?
500 shares at 105 average price.
Okay.
Wanted to know the outlook for this particular stock. Is it a good time to enter this particular stock?
Well, Amit, firstly, a very valid question. Coming back to you, Saurabh, stocks fallen from 200 to almost the 160 odd mark. Do you think it's a good time to add more at this point of time?
These numbers all are good and the company is quite positive on the outlook. But what is happening in the global arena, I think, with the gas petrol, diesel prices for the industry going up. I think soon, we will see pump prices also revising soon. So it may dent the growth that especially in the automobile pack. I think one should wait for a while. I think wait for a month or two and then chip it.
Okay, all right. So that's the view coming in on Ashok Leyland. The next one is you on this one. Your view on the charts for JB Chemical and what would be the right entry price to make an entry into this counter?
JV Chemical have been one of the outperformers in the recent past. In the past, say, 1.5 months, this stock has already run up from 1800 odd levels to close to 2200 mark. Closer towards 2000 will be an attractive level to add up to your portfolio, especially from a short-term trading standpoint. That is a pretty attractive level.
Next question, and viewers, you can also call us, talk to us directly and to our experts for stock-related queries as well. But the next question, it's coming in from Jayaraman from Mysore. He wants to side. Now, I'm not sure, Jayaraman, if that would be a case that Saurabh would be able to recommend in terms of returns. But Saurabh, a stock that you like in the hospital space from the current
capacity addition has been planned by the company in 2026 and going forward. Also, their margins are improving, and their new robotic surgery are improving their EBITDA margins. Also, the other businesses are also doing good enough. So, if I would recommend,
Calling us from Hyderabad. Pawan, a very good morning to you. What's your query about?
Ma'am, good morning, ma'am. Ma'am, I want to know about REC for a long term.
Okay.
I bought at 450. Now, so I can shift to REC to PSC right now.
Okay, Pawan, got your question. I'll take this up with Saurabh. Saurabh, what's the view
will get stronger. I think REC is merging into the PFC, and if you look both stocks on the standalone basis, the valuations have corrected a lot. They are trading close to. It is expected to grow in the mid-teen digits going forward also. So from the long-term perspective, yes, it makes a case to hold, and you can certainly switch your REC to PFC.
But the next question coming in, from Ramesh from Bengaluru on Interglobe Aviation. Now, Gaurav, stocks been under pressure. There's been, of course, fundamental factors as well. I
think, Puneet, one should still wait. I firmly believe that a little more downside is pretty much possible. Let the dust settle down. As of now, what I can see is a level close to wait and watch for some more time. Let the stock consolidate. If that happens, then only I'll consider. Otherwise, further slide towards much lower levels can also be seen.
Okay, all right. So that's the view coming in on Interglobe Aviation. Continue to hold or exit this counter at the current levels. Gaurav, I'll stick with you for this one. What's the view on the charts?
Well, our viewers should hold on to the position. The stock is consolidated. To take a stop at closing stop at 700, hold your position at above 800 if that happens.
Okay, all right. So that's the view coming in on Sirma SGS. But time to look at the F&O space, and we have Sharad joining by.
Well, I think my hopes are dashed today. I look at the markets, and if you have made some short positions and if you have hedged it nicely, congratulations to you. But the VIX that has jumped up and largely what is actually holding some sort of indices as well, but banking, you see a sell-off is continuing across the counter, so there's no major support coming in from BankX also. There is should be in your radar. Is there any long build-up? I think ONGC Oil India kind of counters might be there apart from the IT, and that has just reversed right now. So you see how weak the market is right now. I can sell, and lastly short build-up, you can pick up anything, more than 80% of them are in the short build-up in the F&O space right now. And yes, Petronet LNG and Muthoot Finance make it to the list. So these are the stocks which should be in your radar.
Pressure across the board. Sensex now close to a downtick of 1800 points as we speak. But let's go across, take our next caller from Pune. Khushi has a stock query for us. Khushi, good morning.
I have purchased at 1310 of 7 shares. And right now it's at 741. So should I sell? Should I wait? What do I do?
And did you enter, Khushi? You on Amara Raja, the capex plan having some impact on both the battery makers, right? Long capex cycle, returns getting compressed. What would you recommend Khushi to do? Is it a good time to average?
Material prices have also eased up, putting up a expected pressure on the margin side, on the margin side. And I don't know, of late I have not studied problems to the company and the events which are unfolding as of now in the economy. I think the demand from the industrial segment also may slow down. I think it should be avoided as of now.
He wants to know if it's a good time to buy into this counter from a 3 years or more perspective. Saurabh, I'll stick with you for this one. Your view on Bajaj Housing Finance?
I think it looks now the highs. On the valuation side, it looks comforting, and the company has always grown above industry average. If you want to chip in, you can chip in, but I would rather suggest I think Indian Bank, Canara banks are also good opportunity.
But, some good opportunities apart from Bajaj Housing, but coming at a very rightly highlighted, down almost 30% in the last 6 months. But another caller now from Hyderabad, Surya has a stock query for us. Surya, good morning. Welcome to the show. What's your query?
Yeah, very good morning.
Okay.
For short term, now it is 1015. What should I do?
Okay, so you bought it for the short term. Got it. Gaurav, a very meaningful position held by Surya of almost coin to you.
See, he has bought it at a right time and a right price also, I would say. But this is just a market situation for which are dampening the we have recommended this to our clients as well. So I would first give a general disclaimer. They may have a position on it. We are optimistic on this stock, both from a medium to long term perspective. Any decline from this current averaging opportunity. So if the viewer has some spare cash left, he can also consider averaging out or at a further dip towards 975. Otherwise, he can simply hold on to his position.
That's the view on SBI, but Gaurav as well as Saurabh, it's time for a rapid fire round. Try to keep your answers as short as possible. The first one is coming from Venkatramani from Bengaluru, asking about Zydus Life Sciences. Wants to know if this is a good time to make an entry from a 12-month perspective. Gaurav, your view on the charts?
Yes, he can consider. Take a stop at 850.
HDFC Bank.
Little more downside is possible. Any level close to 725 is a good buying opportunity.
Eternal or Swiggy, is this the right time to make an entry from a long-term perspective? Saurabh, your view?
You know, Raghuraman wants to ask a short-term view. What's your view, Gaurav?
Stock is fairly strong, very good. Any dip towards 160 is
From Jamnagar, Gujarat wants to know. Saurabh, your view?
Instead, look for NTPC or the NHPC.
Sai Life Sciences, Saurabh, is it a good time to buy? Is what our viewers.
Go for Lupin or maybe Aurobindo Pharma.
Okay, ITC bought at the levels of 450. Do you think this is the right time to average at the current levels? Ekambara wants to know. Gaurav, what would you recommend?
On Bajaj Finance, bought at 916. What would you recommend here, Saurabh? Is it a good time to average?
Avoid.
Okay, the next one is on Shriram Finance. Suresh from Kerala wants to know from a one-year perspective.
Accumulate.
HCC bought at 20 rupees per share, 1,000 shares by Kamlesh. What should he do with this counter right now, Saurabh?
I think better.
Long-term perspective, Saurabh, your view?
Which stock?
South Indian Bank.
Avoid.
BEL, Gaurav bought at roughly around 294 by Tanmay.
Time to buy today. Gaurav, your view on the charts?
Yes, we are bullish on this pack. Canara Bank is on our left.
The next one's coming in on MRF, bought at the
Avoid. Some more downside is likely.
Okay, Tata Power, what should be the stop loss and target? Our viewer has bought at the levels of 400, if I'm not wrong. Rudra is asking this question. Your view, Gaurav?
Yes, he can hold on to it. 375 should be the trading stop.
2,000 shares of Wokhard bought at 1,230. Saurabh, would you recommend Kiran to continue holding this?
Levels of 144. Is it a good time to hold, average, or exit? Saurabh, your view?
I think better to exit.
HDFC AMC, is it a right time to buy for the long term? Is what Nagaraj is asking, Saurabh.
Avoid.
CAMS bought at an average price of 705. Hold or sell? Gaurav?
Exit.
LT Foods bought at 270.
Hold. Some more downside is possible, but the reversal is likely. 340 should be the stop loss.
Wipro bought at the levels of 255. Anuj Patel wants to know if we can continue to hold this for a year. Saurabh, your view? first rapid fire round of Ask Profit. But viewers, it's time to slip into a very, very short break, but don't go anywhere.
केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ रे दिल झूमे देखो मतवारा हुआ रे केसरिया
बोलो जुबान केसरी।
हाथ, ये हाथ केवल हल नहीं चलाते, मिट्टी से सोना उगाते हैं। ये हाथ केवल सिलाई नहीं करते, देश को नया रूप देते हैं। अपना फर्ज निभाते हैं, कैप्री लोन्स फर्ज निभाते हैं।
To understand the Tamil Nadu twist, join me in the midst of our people, language and politics. Vanakkam Tamil Nadu, here we come.
He has been tracking markets for over a decade, spots the trends before they hit the screen. And he is now bringing his analysis to the show that the market watches. Watch Sharad Dubey on Know Your Company, a show that puts the get the management to answer questions relevant to you. Watch Know Your Company, weekdays at 11:30 a.m.
Welcome back. You're watching Ask Profit right here on NDTV Profit. Today is the day to send across your queries. You can also WhatsApp us, call us directly on both those numbers flashing on the top of the screen. We also have Saurabh Jain on the fundamentals. Let me welcome in Ajit Mishra, SVP Research at Relicare Broking at this point of time of the show, who will help us with the technical outlook. Ajay has a stock query for us. Ajay, very good morning. What's your query?
Hey, very good morning, sir. Actually, I want to invest on EPAC, PrePAC. I have bought at 200, number of shares is 300.
Okay.
Can I buy or can I sell it?
So it's EPAC prefab. Per share and you hold 300 shares, correct?
I have bought on at 300, 200.
You bought at 200.
300.
Got it.
Yeah.
And this will be a long-term one, Ajay? Got it. Let me pose this query to Saurabh. Then Saurabh, post listing stock had EPAC prefab had a great run, and since then has corrected on the back of weak quarterly results. Would you recommend Ajay to exit this company?
In the IPO market also, after the listing, the stock made a decent gains, and when the results came out, it just the expectations. Same episode may come again for the March quarter earnings, and that is why the stock has got beaten now. I think it is better to don't average it, but look for the opportunities to exit.
Okay, the next question. He can accumulate more or sell. He's bought 140 shares at the levels of 484. Saurabh, this counter was in spotlight in the last week because of the entire LPG crisis and induction cookstoves Friday. Just want to get a sense that do you think that this theme picking up further has chances, considering the war could go on from here on? What is the view on this entire space and TTK Prestige, of course?
Alone induction cooker demand cannot move up the company stock price. Actually, that went up on the momentum side only because of momentum. And I think there are not many products and the demand is not expected to be great. And apart from that, material prices have risen strongly. And I don't think so that rally would again come back. So in my sense, I think it is better to, it is good to look for opportunities to get out.
Got that view, but let's go across, take our next caller from Chennai, and Shakti has a stock query for us. Shakti, good morning, welcome to the show. What's your query?
Yeah, good morning, sir. Sir, I want to discuss about the HAL company because the fighter jet was going to company as private company sector.
Right.
Because it is a demand for HAL for future, sir.
Got it. And you currently hold shares of HAL, Shakti?
Yes, sir. I was holding 25 quantity, sir.
And at what price?
4,550.
Okay.
I bought it.
And this was a long-term view, right, Shakti? And you want to know, okay, what could be the future of the counter, correct?
Yes, sir. Correct.
Got it. Well, firstly, Shakti, of course, the order going to a private company potentially was because of the contract value that your order book should be less than 3 times, and for HAL that's 8 times. But Saurabh, this counter has been in a corrective phase, right? What would you recommend Shakti to do? He's bought shares at 4550.
Can only wait because considering the good order book the company is in hand, that is there in hand with the company. But the problem why the stock is falling is because of the execution problem. Many a times it has been highlighted that there has been a delay with respect to the deliveries and all. And I think investors have lost hope on that front. And that is why the stock has beaten down. On the valuation front, it is not that expensive. You can continue to hold, but do not invest more.
Let me also just welcome you in for HAL as well. A quick could you give us a view on HAL as well?
Good morning, Puneet. So what we are seeing that the selling pressure is across sectors. So barring BEL, other possibly correction may continue towards, let's say, around 3,500, 40 area first, which is the marginal support area. And then the major supports comes around 3280 mark, which is the long-term averages on the weekly charts. So short-term bias looks negative in case if you are planning any fresh trade. Accumulation should be the strategy. Means you can gradually accumulate in this range of 3280 to 3400 and hold it for at 3500. That should be your stop loss.
Okay, all right. So that's the view coming in on HAL. The next one is on Vedanta. Our viewer Sunil from Pune wants to view on the charts for Vedanta.
So metal counters, they were doing well, till last week, and now we have started seeing a bit of a pressure in metal space as well, including Vedanta. In the metal counters, there could be further consolidation or maybe a downtick. So one should rather buying in lump sum. A gradual accumulation is something that one should consider. At 590 area for the entire position, his stop should be at 560. Positionally, 680, 690 will be the first area of resistance, and that should be your target zone as well.
Continue to monitor Vedanta. The demerger, the 5-way demerger, essentially will be a key trigger for the counter going forward as well. But let's go across to our next query. This one's coming from Hemendra on Power Mech projects. He wants to buy into this counter. Would you recommend that, Saurabh?
Buying gradually in the current times makes sense.
Okay, the next one is coming from Shivdas, who's writing us from Trivandrum, asking about alkyl amines. He's bought 10 shares at an average price of 3698. Wants to know if he can hold, sell, average from a long-term perspective. Saurabh, your view on alkyl amines?
I think current scenario is adverse for these chemical companies, especially on the one like alkyl mines. I think in the short term to medium term, like for 3-6 months, nothing seems to be looking good for the company. I would not recommend to sell at this price, but at the same time, do not buy more.
The view, Saurabh, but the next one's coming in on LIC. Sachu from Kerala holds shares at 900 rupees per share. Now, he wants to know if he should continue to hold or buy more at this price. Now, Ajit, on the fundamentals, it's trading below one-time book value, embedded value. What would you recommend on the charts? Is it a good time to add more?
Yeah, so certainly you can consider adding, we have had phases of underperformance in the past, but the recent rebound was a strong participation from the LIC also, when we saw that the life insurance counters were busy. So close to around this 730, 720 area where we have the last previous swing lows. Around that area is something where we see strong potential of buying interest re-emerging, and that could probably help the stock to hold and gradually inch toward 850, 900. So you can consider accumulating at current levels, and for this position, for this leg of the position, he may consider maintaining a stop at 700 with 850, 900 as the positional targets.
Okay, so that's the view on LIC. Moving on to the next question, Nihal Mohandas from Mumbai is asking if this is the right time to invest into something like a Pidilite from a 1 to 2 year perspective. Saurabh, I'll stick with you for this one. What's the view like on Pidilite?
From the long-term perspective, yes, you can buy, but do not buy this stock alone in your portfolio. You have to have other stocks also, like from some utilities, bowers, and maybe some pharmaceutical stocks also.
Okay, all right. So that's the view on Pidilite. The next one is coming in on Colgate. The viewer is holding 200 shares at the levels of 2154. Wants to know, considering the current market volatility, what should be the next course of action for him? Continue holding it for the medium to long term perspective, or partially or fully exit? He's not given us. Okay, so 2154 is his buying price, and 200 shares is what he's got. Saurabh, what is your view with regards to where Colgate goes?
I think he can he can sit on his investment for long term, and also he can look in the same segment, a company, maybe a bigger company like Britannia too.
Got that view, Saurabh. But the next question, coming on FEM Industries, it's a counter that's done well over the last 1, 3, 5 year period as well in the auto anch space. And our viewer holds shares at 2250, roughly 100 shares. Now wants to know if he should continue to hold this particular counter. Is it a good time to average, Saurabh, on this particular dip? What would you recommend?
Yes, he can go for an averaging if stock gets hammered down more, and it is a good company to hold.
Okay, the next one is coming in from Ganesh, who's writing us from Chennai, asking about Kalyan Jewelers. Bought at the levels of 406 at an average price. Wants to know, should I buy?
Weak to me, considering that the recent attempt of recovery also has completely fizzled out. The stock is strongly holding below short-term averages, and now we are seeing a break below the long-term averages on the weekly chart as well. So indications are in the favor that this negative tone might continue further, and maybe close to around 340, 330 is something that the stock might test next. So he can consider exiting in case if he is holding any long position, and avoid any fresh position in case if he is considering.
The viewer Srinivas from Hyderabad is actually holding shares of Mankind Pharma at 2298. Now his question largely is if he should continue to hold or exit. Now it's a similar story here as well. What would you recommend, Saurabh? Should he continue to hold?
Certainly it is a hold.
Okay, the next one is coming in on Varun Beverages. Mithun from Bengaluru he has bought 87 shares at the levels of 570 for Varun Beverages. He says that he is a long-term investor and wants to know if he can continue to hold or sell the counter. Saurabh, your view on Varun Beverages?
It is a good period for a company like Varun Beverages. The stock has got hammered down in the last few quarters considering the competition and all. But I think you should wait at least for the March quarter earnings season and see if the company announces good results, then keep on holding.
Stocks hit a 52-week low today, broken the 400 mark, and it was a psychological level in that sense. But Ajit, actually very quick view on Varun Beverages as well, because there's been a one-way downtick for this counter, right? Any view?
So that's right, Puneet. In fact, post this tight range consolidation breakdown around 450 mark, we are seeing that stock has been gradually inching lower. We have recently surpassed the support zone of weekly 200 EMA as well. So that's basically adding to the pressure. As per the long-term charts, maybe close to around 370 is the marginal support that we have. In case if the stock fails to hold this area, then probably we are set for 350 or maybe lower. So 370 should be a strict stop loss in case if you have any existing position, and use any recovery or rebound towards 410, 420 to reduce your positions.
Got that view, Ajit. The next one, Ajit, actually coming back to you on Castrol India. Ramesh actually wanted to know if it can be bought at the current price. Again, this counter was in focus, because of the data center push amongst other key factors. But your view on the stock now?
So it's a very tight range, consolidation, Puneet, almost 5-6 weeks, and still the stock is holding within this range. So probably a breakout confirmation above 186 should be the trigger for any fresh longs, because in that case the momentum will be in your side. And in the interim, in case if you have any existing position, 170 should be your strict stop.
Garments is the next one. Nitin from Kochi is currently holding 200 shares. Bought
Come up again.
Kitex Garments.
Yes, it is a good company to hold.
The next question that's coming in right now, it's on Tata Motors PV. A viewer holds shares at point of time or exit this counter. What would you recommend here, Saurabh? Because the JLR uncertainty is quite large, right, at this point of time, given what we are seeing in Europe. Should he continue to hold or sell?
I think that uncertainty is also large, and the business is also large in context to the Indian business, and the volumes are expected to taper off in the Indian markets also. So I think it makes sense to exit.
Okay, moving on to the next query, which is on PCBL Chemicals. Our viewer Ramesh from Chennai has bought 200 shares at the levels of 322 in Feb 2026. Wants to know as to whether he can hold average at the current market price or exit. Ajit, your view on the charts?
So Mahima, it's a very sharp correction. If you see that from the record highs close to around 575 in the month of October 2024 to the current levels close to around 233. So definitely it's a very sharp correction, but still there is no sign of recovery or reversal yet. So adding to your existing position is something that you should wait for any kind of consolidation or a recovery attempt. In past also we saw that the stock made an attempt of recovery but couldn't sustain above the key averages. So for now 275 is a very strong resistance area. So until we break that, one should refrain from any additional purchase, but he can continue to hold his position with 200 as a stop loss.
Got that view, Ajit. But the next question, a recent listing is Tenneco. India for the long term is what Ranjit is asking, if it's a good time to add. What would you recommend here, Saurabh? Stocks largely, is it a good time to add, Saurabh, this counter for the long term?
It won't be able to comment.
Anything on the charts, Ajit? I know it's a very limited time frame. But what would you, anything on the charts?
So it shows that close to around 500, 495 is where the stock has formed. So as of now, it's in hold with 495 as a stop loss, and close to around 570, 580 area, one should look for booking profits.
Okay, all right. So that's the view on Tenneco Clean Air. But moving on to the and 150 shares is what he's holding. Wants to know as to what should be the next course of action for him. Saurabh, any view on Devyani International?
View remains negative. The stock has done nothing. Even if the markets gets some firmer footing. So in my sense, I think it is better to avoid exit.
It's broken 100 now. I think for the QSR as a whole going through extended pressure. So this stock continues to be under 100 now. down 4.6% today. But the next question, coming in, and viewers, you can of course the last final stretch of Ask Profit, the morning edition, of course. Query on ICICI Bank bought at 1348. Now, Saurabh's given a positive view for this counter and continue to hold. Is it a good time to average now?
So HDFC Bank, this kind of move usually we don't experience, but now after this, sharp. As of now, yes, it's in hold, but avoid adding to your existing position. Let the stock stabilize in line with what we are seeing in the market overall, because the banking index has basically breached crucial support, so which trade.
CG Power is the next one. Vivek Nandan is holding at an average price of 663. Wants to know if he can accumulate more. Saurabh, your view?
From Jalandhar, whole shares of Indian Hotels bought at 775. Now he's holding 100 shares. Saurabh, would you recommend averaging now at this point of time? Because since touching that level,
but why the stock is falling, probably the reason that airfares are likely to shoot up, which will hamper the tourism demand, and for the company like Indian Hotels, which have occupancy rates, and that is why I feel that is the probable reason why the stock is cooling off. I think it is better to avoid as of now.
Okay, the next one is coming in on Transray Lighting. Viewers, add more at the current levels. Ajit, what would you recommend?
In fact, he can consider exiting because the stock has been underperforming for quite some time, and possibly it might consider exiting at current levels, and look for the sectors in case if the view is short term, like select counters from the pharma space like Oro Pharma, Glenmark, Sun Pharma, Lupin, or energy counters, the Power Grid, NTPC, Coal India kind of names.
Got your view, Ajit. But another caller now from Mumbai, and Rishabh has a stock query for us. Rishabh, go ahead with the query.
Yeah, sure. So, hello. I have 1,000 units of PFC at 4.
View on this in the earlier half of the show. So let me go to Ajit for this very quickly. Ajit, on PFC, what would you recommend a current view on the charts?
So I feel that he might have considered this consolidation range breakout as a fresh trade, because that was the area overall. Now we are again re-entered into that zone, so maybe close around 380, 420. That would be the probable zone that might continue to hover in. So with the closing stop at 380, he can consider to hold its.
On JBM Auto, our viewer Sivakumar is holding 550 shares at the levels of 650. Sitting on a loss right now, wants to know as to what should he do next. Ajit, your view on the charts?
So in fact, interestingly, it's witnessing very sharp recovery attempts with volumes, with every down tick. So in fact, if you see, that's been almost like 5-6 months of consolidation with hardly any kind of further deterioration in the price structure. So considering the current market scenario, we can continue to hold, but avoid adding fresh at current levels. Above 620, we'll have a confirmation for the short-term trend reversal towards 660, 680 area, and then probably around 720 as well. So at present, you can continue to hold with 500 as stop loss.
Got the view, Ajit. Before we we've slipped now below 52 as well. Any quick view that you can offer on this counter, because we have a lot of queries, of course, on the banking names, but for the index, any level that you're watching out for?
was the gap that we have on the daily chart, which Nifty is now attempting to fill close to around 51,200, 300 is the area basically. So which is still 500. Well, so around 51 200. So usually while markets respect the key areas, but this time around we are not seeing any kind of respite. But yes, considering the gap, 51 200 should be the area where you should keep a close eye on.
Okay, all right. The next one is coming in on TD Power. Usha from Hyderabad wants to know if she can buy at the current levels from a short-term perspective. Ajit, your view on the charts?
Can you please share
TD
the name
Power.
again?
TD Power.
TD Power. Okay. So yes, this stock definitely is still holding around long-term averages, about very close to its record. Something that she can consider adding at current scenario, with 780 as a stop loss and 900, 920 as a positional targets.
Got the view, Ajit. But Ajit as well as Saurabh, time now for the rapid fire round in this edition of Fast Profit. The first query that's coming in, it's from Saqib. He wants to know
from the long-term perspective, it's a hold.
Okay, IRFC 1000 shares is what Sriram is holding at the levels of 134. Your view on the charts, Ajit?
Short-term look weak, exit.
Restaurant Brands Asia, Ajit has been under pressure. Should Alan continue to hold his shares?
In fact, it's a fresh new record low, so better exit.
Saman Capital bought at the levels of 155. 500 shares is what Kamlesh is holding. What should he do from a long-term perspective, Saurabh?
I think switch to PSU Bank like Canara.
Oil India bought by a viewer at roughly 512. Saurabh, should he continue to hold for the next 1 year?
Continue to hold.
Hindustan Copper bought at the levels of 601. Steny wants to know from Bengaluru, from a long-term perspective, can he continue to hold, Saurabh?
Long term, it's a hold.
Pragyansh wants a view on the long term for Ellen.
Buy more. Lot of clarity has come from the management. Keep on holding.
Axis Gates Technology is the next one. Sumant Reddy wants to know if he can continue to hold from a slightly short-term perspective. Ajit, your
Jubilant Foodwork bought at 580, roughly 1,000 shares by a viewer. What should he do with this counter, Saurabh?
Stock has disappointed a lot. I think it's better to avoid.
for him?
Looks weak but extremely oversold also, so he can continue to hold with 600 as a stop loss and use recovery towards 750, 780 to reduce position.
Okay.
Is this the right time to enter KFin Tech, Saurabh? Would you recommend that to Kiran?
Avoid.
RVNL purchase 100 shares at the levels of 410. Hold or sell at the current levels? Srikar wants to know. Ajit, your view?
Roughly 830 shares. Hold, sell or average at this point?
Hold with the stop loss at 35.
Patel Engineering bought at the levels of 42. 45,000 shares is
not in coverage.
Any view, Ajit, on Patel Engineering by any chance?
Looks weak. Avoid averaging for existing position 15, 17. That's the support zone.
This counter?
Looks weak. Better exit.
Happiest Minds bought at the levels of 445. Hold or sell right now, Ajit?
Booking profits.
All right, okay, so that's the view coming in on Happiest Minds. But with that, completely out of time, Ajit as well as Saurabh, thank you so much for helping us answer all those 82 queries that we managed to answer in the first edition. Portfolio is probably bleeding in red. Answering those as many queries as possible is our motto. But right now, we're completely out of time. Do stay tuned. KYC up next.
हर पल मनाओ केसरी त्योहार। विमल।
सोना उगाते हैं। ये हाथ केवल सिलाई नहीं करते, देश को नया रूप देते हैं। ये हाथ लोगों को उनकी मंजिल तक पहुंचाते हैं और इन्हें हम आसानी से
To understand the Tamil Nadu twist, join me in the midst of our people, language.
He has been tracking markets for over a decade, spots the trends before they hit the screen, and he is now bringing his analysis. Watch Sharad Dubey on Know Your Company, a show that puts the most traded stocks under the scanner. We dissect the company so that you, the investor, don't have to. Get the management to answer questions relevant to you. Watch Know Your Company weekdays at 11:30 a.m. to understand your next big bet.
Will the rising sun win with a hand in hand? Twist. Join me in the midst of our politics and people. Vanakkam, Tamil Nadu. Here we come.
Biggest business stories. What happened, why it matters, and what it means for your money.
Hi, I'm Neeraj Shah. Watch me on NDTV Profit.
And I'm Alex Matthew. Markets, mutual funds, insurance, personal finance. I help you cut through the noise and make smarter financial choices. And here's where you can watch us.
He has been tracking markets for over a decade, spots the trends before they hit the screen, and he is now Watch Sharad Dubey on Know Your Company, a show that puts the most traded stocks under the scanner. We dissect the company so that you, the investor, watch Know Your Company weekdays at 11:30 a.m. to understand your next big bet. Presenting the all-knowing
Hello and welcome to KYC. I am Sharad Dubey and you are watching NDTV Profit. The company which I want to focus on, wait a minute, I'll give you some hints. Try to guess that. It's an oil exploration gas company and it's buzzing because of so much tensions happening. Key contractor of ONGC. Now I'm sure you're about to guess the company's name, but there are some more hints if you're not able to guess it. The third hint is of course the provisional suspension which was there that has jumped up 17%. The question remains is, which company is this? I need to use your thinking in a very deep manner. And yes, that's also a hint. The company's name is the after its earnings that the interest is back in the street. The first reason is of course going to be the beneficiary of the new ONGC capex which ONGC wants to put across the entire as the provisional suspension has been revoked. What kind of incremental benefit in terms of money does the company post? The third question is the fourth quarter. Will it be stronger because of the and the execution trends coming in for the long duration contracts? Does it improve more? Because execution is very much important in this oil and gas segment, and the gestation periods are also on the higher side. The margins much interesting to ask about. And also the order book outlooks around 2600 plus crores order book is there currently. Will it touch the 3000 crore mark by the end of March? That's the key question to be asked. This segment, this is what we'll try to understand from the management. And on the show we'll have Rohan Shah, Director of Finance and Group CFO at Deep Industries, to help us crack these numbers and also the strategic outlook for the company. It's of course oil and gas. It's a bit technical, but I'll try to simplify it for you what this company does. It's incorporated in 91 in the business of oil and gas field services. And if we take in more layers of what the business into integrated services as well. So 4-5 important outlook the company is focusing on. The company expertises in this integrated project management services as well. Also the moment it touches the 100%, then a lot of value comes in with margins and even volume. Order book is roughly at around 2967 crores. I pointed out that 3000 crore mark. 3-year CAGR growth of order is very much important. Last 3 years it's a 40% annualized basis. So this is a figure to watch out for. Key clients, you name it. If you track the oil and gas segment, you'll know all of these companies. ONG, it's a very important part of the oil and gas ecosystem. Deep Industries, the company's provisional suspension was revoked for its key services, and that's one of the reasons why we saw a spike in this value is roughly 150 crore rupees. And also the third important news is the MOU signing in with Advait Green Energy, and this is for the green hydrogen projects. This is a bit new, but we'll ask the management, Mr. Rohan, stable and in a controlled manner. And also secondly, they have stated that the drilling and workover assets have seen healthy deployment over the hydrocarbon basis. So Q3 numbers were also on a decent upcycle, and the company is also across its categories is putting in capex and expansion. So definitely this bears in fruit for India's energy security. And look at the capex, $100 billion of capex is targeted by 2030. So the macro triggers are in the flavor as well, and that's also one of the reasons why the stock has seen a big re-rating coming in, and natural gas demand also expected to go up. And the way the geopolitical situations is, the company needs to do more and more work, at least for the nation's security. So these are the key macro triggers here which we have spoken about, and how the global shift is happening in this energy space as well. Apart from for energy due to the Middle East crisis, it's a second order effect, and that comes in for Deep Industries. The second reason is the moving towards of value added services towards full integration, and that augurs well for the company as some peers with certain services, but all in all, that's where the company has a moat. Now, strong buying and the highest volume was seen in last week itself, and that's where my interest came in the stock. Positive company, that is why the stock is in favor. But let's give you the entire picture of the KYC ratings. How do we judge a company in our show? Of course, this includes income statement, balance sheet, PL. These are the core numbers I talk about. Years. Of course, we see the shareholding with the FIs and DIs, their movement we track along with the promoters. Apart from the street trade, kitna paisa bana, kitna paisa nahi bana, it's short term, medium term, and even for the last 5 years, we do a valuation check. The company doesn't have an apple to apple comparison, but The nearest comparison which is there with Jindal Drilling will get you those valuations, and also the outlook. What are the outlook, the medium term, long term targets being set by Deep Industries, and is it achievable or not? That's the big question to be asked. Number has panned out, and see a significant up move has come in both revenue and EBITDA. You see the good 3-year CAGR growth coming in, and anything above the 20-25% mark, you can see the industry is going, the capex is going. A little bit of one-off impacts do happen in the net profit because of the industry's business. The Q3 numbers is also very much important to watch out, and look at that number. That is really good. The Q3 FY20 Street estimates also because of strong execution and the way the company is moving towards the value-added services, and they're introducing new services as well. So net, it's a positive outlook for income statement, and it's a strong thumbs up coming in. But let's also talk about the balance sheet, and largely the balance sheet has been maintained very decently, and the debt to equity ratio is still kind of, in a controlled manner. Borrowing is very less compared to the size, and just look at this number. Remember the work around 51 crores. It's very stable going ahead. So the asset liability situation in the balance sheet is decent, and the last time I checked from the 9-month FY26 numbers, that's where the debt to equity ratio that has also come down. So net for balance sheet, I would be giving this a thumbs up. Cash flow is a bit lumpy in this kind of industry, and that's where the operating and the investing and financing activities, all three combined, these are the numbers you get. So there is a lot of aberrations which in FY25 it was around 82 odd crore rupees, and now it has moved to 210 crore rupees. So net for the cash flow segment, I'll be giving this a neutral rating as of now, because the business model is as such. Return ratios which we have taken, one is the ROC, the return on capital employed, another one is the ROE. In FY23 it was ranging between 9 to 11%, but then there has been an increase, and the best part is the H1 FY value added product is coming in, the cash flows have improved, and that is why the return ratios, both of them, have done well. So net return ratios is a strong thumbs up when it comes to Deep Industries. Let's talk about the shareholding, how things have moved, or actually it hasn't moved yet. Just look at the numbers. Even I don't need to move for that. 63% it's still 63. Or because of the lack of analyst coverage in the stock, but nevertheless 2% in FIs, and DIs is just 1% and public has the remaining stake. So nothing much to actually look. Let's talk about street cred, how much the stock has moved, and of course in recent times, I mentioned last 5 days, the stock went up, the volumes were the highest ever, and that's where my interest came. Why? Remember, the mid caps and small caps have taken a clobbering, and year to date this year also stock is down 14%. There is of course the market impact as well. Last 1 year say stock 22% gira. That's the massive number to look at. That means if you're a long-term investor, congratulations to you. That's the strength in the stock. So medium term, short term, definitely a little bit of question is there. Who does fundamentals also, it's very much important to track the stock. So it's a neutral rating when it comes to the street cred. But let's talk about valuations. Inke peers कौन कौन है? Deep Industries, there is, and perhaps that's why the company commands almost 3 times the valuations as well. And if you look at the peak valuations, that was almost 34 times for this company. That has also corrected to almost 24. almost you could say 4x differential from this, and the trailing 12-month PE has still corrected from its peak levels. That means at current levels also the valuations are attractive when it comes to the much important, and I suggest you note down or take a screenshot of the outlook which I am discussing with you, because this is very much important. The management has guided a 30 to 35% revenue growth. The second important portion of this outlook is this is driven by a full year contribution of newly deployed assets. That means they will also start giving, apart from the mature assets, the inflows in the company. The call it in this industry is very high for this company and the industry as well. Kandla commercialization is expected to kick in by the second half of FY27 as well. That's what we rig deployment by March 2026, and I mentioned that before the 31st March, maybe in the next 1 week. That's what we'll ask the management. And any more contracts expected from ONGC as some revoke deep industries. So I'll give this a strong thumbs up as well. But apart from the outlook, what are the total KYC ratings for this company? This is very much important. And of course, the income statement, balance analysis, and also let's pull out the shareholding in Street Cred, and over here also it's largely neutral. But what makes it to the list is the valuations are still attractive for deep industries, and the outlook net on the higher side of the ratings which we generally give to a company in KYC. I have given that 6.5 out of it. The highest number I remember is 7 out of it. So the company has done well in terms at Deep Industries. He's been associated almost last 16 years in the company. He's a qualified chartered accountant as well. So it will be interesting to understand from Rohan about Deep Industries. Have you with us in KYC. Rohan, the first question is, of course, a very positive news flow has been developed over the weekend regarding the revocation of the order. There are some 4-5 services which you can give her that service, which can happen in the next, say, 6 months to 12 months. Just give us some light on that. You don't need to give us the exact numbers, but how beneficial this announcement is.
Yes, so hiring of GCP, GDU, then hiring of DPDU, hiring of 1,000 horsepower drilling rigs, and hiring of onshore rigs of 100 metric ton. Right, amendment provisional suspension, and so we can bid all these services for their new tenders. So we were providing all these services in our existing contracts already.
Right. We'll get back to the entire performance and some queries on the company as well. But the way the situation has panned out globally on the geopolitical issues front, the costing of cost, it can be anything. It can be an infra related cost, a raw material cost, or is there any kind of a mitigation measure at play?
Of course, with the current scenario, as well, but luckily for us, demand in our business is also likely to go up with current scenario. So Deep would be primary beneficiary for this structural shift production, considering the current Iran conflict. And with this major push on increasing domestic production, our services will also be new opportunities.
Yes, and Rohan, speaking of new opportunities, the company is looking at a lot of value-added services also. If you could just give us that outlook on these value-added services, how much you're coverage in your universe, that also keeps on increasing and you become a fully integrated player. And to be honest, there aren't much in India. So your views on that?
Yes, so over a which we otherwise were providing singly. So by bundling all these services, the proposition for any oil and gas producer company becomes more efficient in terms of operational efficiency. You provide all required services for a particular job under a single contract, under value-added offerings, it will always be preferred by both client as well as by the company. Entire gas processing on charter hire to integrated project management and so on. So
and Rohan, I just want to ask you one thing on the value-added service front. That means the margins are going to increase. Because it was around 45-46% in this third quarter. So correct me if I'm wrong, can we touch that 50% mark in 2 quarters?
So yeah, margins are definitely on improving front. For a period of 2 years, of course, we can reach to there.
2 years, 50% margins coming in for Deep Industries. But Rohan bhai, the question is on Advait Green Energy. There is an MOU signed. Talk about Deep Industries is the oil and gas segment. So how does this hydrocarbon segment or this MOU set up, and what do you do and what do they do?
Sure. So one more vertical in our service offerings with this MOU. So for all green hydrogen projects, we would be bidding along with our partners for I would say balance of plant work would be executed by Deep Industries under this MOU.
Right. So there is a lot of work in that space. But that by March 2026, we just have 1 week left for March to end. Can we expect a rig deployment announcement in the coming days, or it's already in the works?
The third rig, which we were expecting to deploy in March, would get deployed in next 1 week or so.
All right. So that's a good confirmation coming in from the management. And the drilling and workover, does that continue in the fourth quarter also, or is it a little bit plateauing, or is it just continuing?
Yeah. Considering this exceptional demand on this front, our a scenario which we are seeing for after so many years, where my entire fleet is being mobilized.
Okay, yes, fleet mobilization is something which is very much important for us. But, apart from this, also any kind of, we can expect, integration, that 70% mark which was there in your industry. Do we move across that 80? A fully integrated player by 2030?
See, our endeavor is always to become an integrated and one-stop solution provider. And so under this approach, we would definitely be looking forward to increase this 70% share probably to the higher percentage.
With so much of work happening and revenue guidance upgrade, you have given more than 30 to 35%. Can it be more? Because everything is falling right for the company. So we just wanted to know if you'd like to upgrade the guidance.
Yeah, so growth of more than 35% year on year is exceptional for any company year on year. Of course, with this current scenario and with increase in demand of our services, this may even go higher, but it would be little early to confirm on that.
Okay, but it may go a little bit higher. Okay, but that's a good statement. That means it's more than 35%. That was earlier your guidance as well, but today I think there might be a chance of an upgrade going ahead. You have not reiterated your guidance. That much I can say that. But Rohanji, another question. The timeline and the progress of this, and how much incremental benefit we can expect.
Yes, by this company's contribution into our sum of chemicals which production, we can expect some good amount of improvement in our operating margins, and we are just waiting for it.
All right, so
somewhere in Q2 FY27, probably it can take 1 or 2 months here and there.
Okay, and any capex earmarked for 2026 and that expansion plan on that, especially on the PEC business?
$150 crore in FY27, and that would largely be towards drilling new wells under that production enhancement contract.
Right. To ask you, right now you are touching the 3,000 crore order book. Any kind of guidance coming in for the next 6 months or 1 year? Can we touch that 4,000 crore mark? Because the order seems to be coming more from ONGC now after.
We are currently having an order book of almost 3,000 crore, and with this exceptional demand coming in play, we are quite bullish on so we are expecting some good amount of conversion in next 2 quarters.
Okay, so that's a very important statement. Good conversion of orders in the next 2 odd quarters. Thank you very much, Mr. Rohan. Industry is favoring your company right now. Well, that's the management of Deep Industries talking about the industry tailwinds and what happens now as ONGC might give in more orders as well, and you can expect some corporate development.
हर पल मनाओ केसरी त्योहार विमल।
पैसे मिल जाते समय पे लौटा दूंगा। जिंदगी में जरूरत के वक्त हम अक्सर अकेले पड़ जाते हैं।
इसीलिए तो केपरी लोन्स आपको गोल्ड लोन देके अपना फर्ज निभाते हैं। केपरी लोन्स फर्ज निभाते हैं।
To understand the Tamil Nadu twist, join me in the midst of our people, language and politics. Vanakkam Tamil Nadu, here we come.
The trends before they hit the screen. And he is now bringing his analysis to the show that the market watches. The scanner, we dissect the company so that you, the investor, don't have to get the management to answer questions relevant to you.
rising sun win with a hand in hand? Will the two leaves and lotus bloom? Who will whistle to success in Tamil Nadu? To understand the Tamil Nadu twist, join me in the midst of our politics and people. Vanakkam Tamil Nadu, here we come.
Biggest business stories. What happened, why it matters, and what it means for your money.
Hi, I'm Neeraj Shah. Watch me on NDTV Profit.
And I'm Alex Matthew. Markets, mutual funds, insurance, personal finance. I help you cut through the noise and make smarter financial choices. And here's where you can watch us.
He has been tracking markets for over a decade, spots the trends before they hit the screen. And he is now bringing his analysis to the show that the market watches. Watch Sharad Dubey on Know Your Company, a show that puts the most traded stocks under the scanner. We dissect the company so that you, the investor, don't have to. Get the management to answer questions relevant to you. Next big bet. Presenting the all-knowing, all-powerful Tech Guru.
Trading below 22,600 today. Sensex crashes more than 1,800 points. Metals, Realty and PSU Bank top sectoral laggards, while all major sectors trade in the red today. Precious metals lose sheen as concerns around Fed rate cut and a stronger dollar weigh on the since 1983. The rupee slumped to a fresh record low today, sustained foreign fund outflows and elevated crude. ₹3.94 against the US dollar. Sources tell Profit that SEBI is set to meet today a wide-ranging agenda market trades. Shares of Raymond trade with deep cuts today after Chairman and MD Gautam Singhania's speedboat over Hari Singh. Hello and welcome. You've tuned into weakness, and that's also a global phenomena because of the war situation and the uncertainties, and also the retaliatory war of words along with the missile attacks that's really going on in the Iran war with US and Israel on one side. Nifty 50 at this particular time seeing no is where it's finding some bit of comfort. But remember, there is no buying scene, and it has been the similar trajectory for quite some time now. Let's take a look at the rest of the market. Well, when we talk about Sensex, that has lost over 1,500 points already. Points and percent, and on the other hand, the broader markets are also showing a fair bit of weakness coming in. So that is really showing up today. When we talk And the deepest cut is being really brent by both HDFC Bank as well as SBI and also Larsen and Toubro. These are the top Nifty 50 draggers. When we talk about also falling hard, but pretty much all the indices are in the red at the moment. So that's the snapshot of the market, but let's also address a particular group stocks. We are talking about Raymond Group, and with Chairman Gautam Singhania are really plummeting by over 6 to 8% in trade at the moment, and there is a fair bit of nervousness that we are seeing on the Raymond counters. When we talk about the 6 to 7% in trade. Now remember that because of this ill-fated accident of its speedboat in Maldives, well, 2 of the Indian nationals are still for their safe recovery. So that's one of the biggest developments to keep a watch on. Now on the geopolitical tension and what's really brewing at the war front. Who's a former chief of RAW, and currently he's an advisor also to an observer of Reach Foundation. Vikram Sood, always a pleasure to welcome you on NDTV Profit. What US has been trying to do and threaten Iran has turned this particular war of words into further escalation of the war. What are your views, sir?
I think overestimated themselves and their ability to switch events or destinies. And Iran, coming off from Venezuela, which is not a good example at all for this sort of thing, because Iran is a big country, 90 million population. To handle. It's not easy to get there. But I'm also surprised that they knew where Ayatollah was and they had him killed, they had him shot. Had kept in store for themselves all these months, years, 5 years, 10 years, maybe 40 years, since 1979. They've been building up their stock. They've been building cost-effective for them, and the United States, who one would presume is already overtaxed with supplying weaponry to Ukraine. Now that the Iranians are now saying no negotiations, no truce, we're going to go on. Whereas now and then we see statements from the US president, who can always be, it does not mean that this is his last statement. He can change it tomorrow or day after the same day. That even hinting at a ceasefire or talks and then saying that the Iranians are ready for it. The Iranians keep saying, we're not ready, we don't care. And this move into the Strait Iranians, because it upsets the entire global oil market.
Yes.
It has hit us, it will hit us again and again. And they have all the trump cards. They hold the card there.
Right. So Vikram Sood, I totally understand, and you had also mentioned that it's not going to be a short-term war that US had earlier anticipated. recently, and they said that we want it to be a short-term war. How are you seeing this really develop in the present context of threats on power plants on both the sides, and what could be the larger impact in your view?
You know, it's an ongoing theater of war. It's not so easy to predict who will win in the end. But it seems that the Iranians are sharper than they were presumed to be. Ayatollah is dead, they will all fall apart. Iran does not work that way. Iran has a systematic way of handing over power and transferring power to the next regime. As compared to the successor, that varies with the individual. But the basic truth is that the takeover by the next came out with a statement which is harder than Ayatollah Khamenei had given. So the Iranians don't think are in any mood to give up. And the sea.
Yes.
That will be a total disaster.
That's right. The outage of that internet lines, that is one big threat coming in after the kind of energy shortage that the entire world is seeing. But my question on the India impact, very recently we have also heard Pakistan's High Commission to India to also US strikes Pakistan. How do you read into this toxic statement?
He's the man that he is. What can I say about him? I mean, who cares? It's his death wish, his own death wish, that we can nuke Bombay and New Delhi and the whole thing will be over.
Right. So
he doesn't understand that Pakistan will be over if this happens.
No, so that's where I am saying the predicament of Pakistan, on which side should it take? Pakistan, which is next door neighbor. Should India worry in this?
No. Is their problem? You handle it. We'll handle Pakistan on our own. And importance, they don't really matter in our final analysis. In our geopolitical sphere, they figure as an irritant in my definition.
Strategically also tagged along the rest of the Gulf countries, Vikram Sood. How, and also UAE led one condemnation of Iran of the Strait of Hormuz, blockade. But Iran is too strong a partner or a participant in that particular region. So how do the dynamics really change for Saudi Arabia, UAE, who have been trying to really showcase that they are a global, country and don't want to be attached to a Middle Eastern kind of a mindset?
They are the Middle East, they will remain there. And I don't think that they are part of the Western system. It's only because of their oil that they have some value. Otherwise, what is the value of all these countries to we actually done a sensible thing, to my mind, by going into solar electricity in a big way, which will taken action. You would know that they are attacking US bases in these countries. These bases were meant to presumably protect these Gulf states, cannot shoot down anything in the United States, so they are going for their bases, which in a way can be presumed to be sovereign US territory.
Right. All right. From the expertise that you have on this particular matter, Vikram Sood, always a pleasure to speak to you and get your insights for our viewers. Thank you so much for joining in. All right, so we were talking about the war situation. War and battle, and that also puts pressure on how the energy situation really develops for India. Let's take a look at crude at the particular moment. Crude and metal prices, precious metals impacting the metal prices. Peter Maguire, who is the CEO of Australia Trading Company .com, joins in. Peter, always a pleasure to speak to you. Today is a very fascinating new geopolitical tension, the escalation of war of words, now power facilities also coming in the midst of it, and that putting pressure on our overall energy supply. How do you see it, Peter?
Well, exactly. And good afternoon, Nisha. I think, as we unpack this and we heard what President Trump said over the weekend, it's 48-hour timeline and the impact that that's going to have as far as Iran and their positioning on that and what their counter strategy Brent, as it says on the screen there, you were nearly at 113 and you've got WTI sitting at just on 100. So it's been a very concise and I think a dynamic time. Precious metal over the next 12 to 18 hours, whether Iran's prepared to just say, right, this is what we'll do. We're coming to the party, or they're not going to. Certainly on Tuesday, and well, it'll be Monday US time.
Right. Do you think, Peter, that a large part of the issues surrounding the war have been baked into the around $100 per barrel, that looks more stable at this particular time?
Well, I don't necessarily think it's all been baked in because there is an uncertainty, and there were many analysts would have thought week 4, and it doesn't show any sign as far as easing. It's actually going the other way, I would think, and from my observations, it's actually ratcheting up. So how that plays, Nisha, I think you're going to see prices extend to the upside here as far as Brent and WTI. Well, that may be a 105, but I think Brent's probably got the capacity to be a 120. Escalate, and then one never knows how much further it could go.
What are the rates that you are really penciling in at your end, Peter, in the short term, considering
has got to be a headline, Nisha, and then you could see 130, and then, let's just see what happens over the next 12 to 18 hours, because that's crucial. President Trump gave an so we want to see the counter positioning from what Iran does, and that's going to be, I think, we'll all be sitting here watching the markets, and when that gets delivered, allow traffic and transport and of the vessels through the Strait of Hormuz with no security worries.
That's right, Peter. In fact, allowed to pass through Strait of Hormuz. But along with that particular narrative came the rest of the retaliatory statements about power facilities being targeted. And that's where the uncertainty and the Strait of Hormuz really opening up. When we really look at the rest of the precious metals, both gold as well as silver are plummeting, and also a strong dollar is impacting.
Well, I think, where we're sitting at the moment, I'm just looking at the screen, you're in the 4200s now. We were at 5400 3 weeks ago today. So you've stripped out $1,200. Silver's now $3. I'm expecting that to be probably high 50s over the next 12 hours when New York is operational. And, the futures market is alive and port. And how does this all, move forward? Because this is the uncertainty, and everyone seems to be very short precious metals. Nisha.
Peter, since you are also penciling in all these uncertainties and not really giving a figure, but still, your view on both gold as well as what are the levels that you're penciling in? How much can it fall without resistance in this uncertain environment?
Well, I'd like to think 56, 57, 56. Knows. I mean, I'm putting a figure out there that I wouldn't be surprised that it actually had the capacity to have a 58, 57 sort of handle, and maybe 1,150. I just want to see what happens again over the next 12 to 18 hours. We'll get a very good indication whether this escalates, and it'll escalate very quickly, or taken out of it. So it's a very dynamic next 24 hours.
Right, so very dynamic next 24 hours. Difficult to bake in all the uncertainties really coming. Is really retaliatory right now. So Peter Maguire, we'll keep touching base with you as and when the developments really keep cropping in, but commodity space is looking very, very dynamic at this particular Indian markets. Nifty 50 has lost more ground and has lost that 22,550 odd levels further, so inching towards the lowest point of the trading session at the particular moment. Chakri Lokpriya, who's the Chief Investment Officer, equities at LG. Lot of weakness on the market. What is your view on how much lower Nifty 50 is ready to go, and what are you penciling in as the weak spots, because the entire market is looking red at this point?
Hello, good afternoon. If you look at the market and if you look at the past conflicts, if you take the most recent conflict, the Ukraine-Russia war, when it began, $115 odd, and the markets, Indian markets, fell to about 17 and a half times 1 year forwards. So if you take that as a percent, also given the fact that at that point in time, rupee was roughly about $72, 72 rupees to a dollar. Now it's 94, which means the import cost. So that additionally hits on the market, so which means I think a good 5-7% lower from current levels.
In how much time are you ascertaining that? Will that be fast, Chakri, in your view, given the
key variable is oil. If tomorrow oil comes off from 115 to, let's say, 90, then the market stabilizes. If the oil moves up, then the market falls down much more. So the down to, let's say, about the 90-ish mark, then the market wouldn't really crack that much.
Right. So oil is the biggest right now understanding. But Chakri, looking at the various stock in various aspects, urea is also in shortage, helium shortage has also cropped in. Looking at that, which are the sectors that you are really penciling in as no-go areas?
All the direct companies, whether it's consumer staples who have a big packaging cost, which are all oil derivative linked, and so they will get hit, their margins will get hit. It's a more a 1 quarter kind of an impact that will happen for the banks in general. NBFCs, because of the higher yields, will also face a higher earnings cut. These are all temporary things. So financials as a sector, therefore, is well positioned. Transportation costs, higher freight costs, higher import company, because many industrial companies import a lot of raw materials, and those import costs are gone up because of the rupee falling. So therefore, I think all cyclical industries are worth avoiding at this point in time.
Right. Rupee fall is another very, very pressing point for the market and a big pain at this particular time. Also, Chakri, but thank you so much for joining us with your take. And the biggest takeaway coming in from Chakri from the present levels, looking at 22,000 below 22,500 level has been lost by Nifty 50. So more selling pressure coming in. Keep an eye out on
हर पल मनाओ केसरी त्योहार विमल।
For over a decade, spots the trends before they hit the screen. And he is now bringing his analysis to the show that the market watches. Watch Sharad Dubey on Know Your Company. Don't have to get the management to answer questions relevant to you. Watch Know Your Company weekdays at 11:30 a.m.
Will the rising sun win with a hand in hand? Will the tulips and lotus bloom? Who will whistle to success in Tamil Nadu? To understand the Tamil Nadu twist, join me in the midst of our politics and people. Vanakkam Tamil Nadu. Here we come.
Where I break down the day's biggest business stories. What happened, why it matters, and what it means for your money.
Hi, I'm Neeraj Shah. Watch conversation.
And I'm Alex Matthew. Markets, mutual funds, insurance, personal finance. I help you cut through the noise and make smarter financial choices. And here's where you
He has been tracking markets for over a decade, spots the trends before they hit the Watch Sharad Dubey on Know Your Company, a show that puts the most traded stocks under the scanner. We dissect the company. You. Watch Know Your Company weekdays at 11:30 a.m. to understand your next big bet.
I'm no guru.
Okay.
I'm just a guy who loves his tech.
A show where the mysteries of megabytes and motherboards shall be unraveled.
That you can use in your daily life. That's what we do on Tech 360. Real talk, real reviews, tech that you can actually use.
Tech has changed.
Talks with me, Hiral Dadia and Sharad Dubey, who's standing at the NDTV Profit market bit with all the action in the market today. Sharad, it's a one-way move that we're seeing. The way the sectors are being beaten down, mild hope that comes in when you see that little bit of resilience in terms VIX at the highest level since June 2024 as well. There are just no indicators which are giving investors a ray of hope today.
Right. Good afternoon, Hiral. And only three things are there which are in 500 levels. That is where a little bit of support is coming, but it's down 2.5%. It's a massive sell-off, 600 points down when it comes to Nifty. And Nifty Bank also, the story remains the same. Just the first trading day of the week, and tomorrow itself is also a very major macro day. Brutal sell-off, SMIDs are bleeding left and right. Nifty small cap is down 4%. Nifty mid cap 150 is down almost, you could say. That also 3.5 to 4%. Nifty immediate support is 22,500. Doesn't even have that. 51,000 to 51,500. That's what we are gathering in, and we are quite close to that also coming down, just 170 points away. Expect some index management at play. That's important. Rupee at fresh record lows. Yields are spiking up, and the stress of a hike in rates globally, that's also going to impact a lot of asset classes. India VIX has jumped 16% now. It's above the 26 mark and it's inching up. So that's a concern as well. And already has happened, and we are seeing that in the overall market. But apart from that, the most important thing to look out would be Trump's 48-hour war deadline. That's expected to But Hiral, it's a brutal sell-off happening all across the markets.
Okay, a brutal sell-off is what we are seeing. The Monday market mayhem is to a Muthoot Finance, with gold being at the lowest since November 2025. You're seeing pressure there. Silver prices have continued to fall, so you're seeing a Hinzing which is under pressure, along with other metal names like is what we are seeing post the sharp sell-off. So you have some of the IT names which are trading in the positive today. The Middle East war disruptions have caused pressure when it comes to Indigo, and a simultaneous reaction and smart volumes coming in with regards to Shriram Finance as well as the Bajaj Finance. Does this become an opportunity to buy any of these heavyweights is the question we need to see. L&T, the commentary from the management in the Middle East have not been affected so far. It's only 5%. But still, you're not seeing a major respite in terms of L&T. HDFC Bank, it's the first note from an Paytm, Pine Labs as well. Jefferies has maintained a buy on both these counters. Petronet, LNG, Morgan Stanley has downgraded the stock. Power Grid, they've increased their FY26 CAPEX guidance, and plus there is a session in terms of the watch list. But let me head across to Sharad to take the rapid fire with Kunal Rambia off the street. Over to you, Sharad.
Thanks a lot, Hiral, for that. Good afternoon. And we saw the gold prices correcting, and of course the second order effect is coming on a brutal sell-off for both Muthoot Finance and Manappuram Finance. Big shorts being developed. Important stop losses for this.
First is Muthoot Finance. Of course, the counter has come down sharply from the highs by 25%. But now this is where the earlier volumes were also seen. 2750 to 2800 is a level to watch out on the Muthoot Finance. If it holds those, which we saw starting in 25 might just continue from 2750 to 2800 onwards.
Right. Apart from this, Kunal, Hindustan Zinc, of course, the silver price fall. Positional setup. Good time to exit the stock right now, and if yes, what would be the stop loss?
See, again on Hindustan Zinc, the rally was really extremely strong, somewhere in the 40, which we saw in May 24, and it has declined from that level, and this entire formation is a curve formation. I am absolutely comfortable holding. If someone is holding this position, one can definitely continue to hold from the long-term perspective. And add a little more also, but not the present level is not the level to exit now.
So present levels is not the time to exit, but the IT space is trying to show emerging to take a bet on the IT stocks, or would you be away from this?
No, I'm very comfortable, in fact, with the entire IT space, and the best pick for us is the Infosys. The only observation is that Jan 2000 again, we are back to the same level. 4 years of non-performance and recent correction of 35% is offering me extremely favorable risk-reward ratio from the long-term point of view. So if Infosys holds this 1200 mark, I think that's the level to watch out even from the long term.
Right, so we are not going to discuss the upside of most of the stocks in our conversation. I think Hiral will also agree with that. But apart from that, also started downgrading it, and a lot of factors are at play, but there's a positive news flow also of the price cap removal in some days. Your views on Interglobe Aviation, any value emerging, or
near to November 2024 low itself, which is 3900. So ballpark figure is 3900 to watch out for. If counter consolidates near this level, and if we see a higher top, higher bottom coming in the time to come, so yes, this is the level to watch out for the new rally to emerge, either a positive or a negative.
Right, both sides view is there, but metal stocks, they have taken a beating. And Hindalco would be favorable in case the tide turns?
Absolutely, yes. Hindalco has not actually fallen much, and in fact, if you look at the buying emerged some even 50% of this last rally. So yes, if the counter reaches near 825, that's the level even we are witnessing as the good buying opportunity. Again, we will not catch the falling knife, as you mentioned.
Right, and Bajaj Finance and Shriram Finance, both of them are premium valued companies, in this NBFC, this financing space. But a little bit of correction here, there, good time.
725, not early to think of it, because there is a clear downtrend with a lower top, lower bottom, even on the weekly chart. The extreme support is at 725, so watch out for that level if the counter reaches that level. $715 to 25.
And Kunal, your views on Power Grid, they've increased their, capacity expansion plans also, and there's a flight to safety also for these companies, considering the volume.
Power Grid since Jan 2025, it's been more than a year. If counter manages to break above 300 levels decisively, yes, it's a thumbs up. But otherwise, I'll stay away from this counter because it's as of now near to the resistance.
Thanks a lot for this interesting rapid fire session in a market where there is a massive sell-off all across. Over to you, Hiral.
Thank you so much for that. Let's just quickly pull up the Google Trends as well. Take a couple of questions with Kunal on the same. Electra Green again seeing profit booking after the last couple of days of rally on the back of EV players that we'd seen. Happiest Mind, interestingly, is under pressure. Petronet LNG, we know the reasons. DCX Systems on the back of an order win, and Manappuram Finance, it's your gold financiers which have been trading under pressure. Kunal, from the names that I mentioned, from an Electra to a Manappuram, Happiest Minds and Petronet, and two, DCX System, which is seeing an uptrend on the back of an order win. Is there an opportunity to sell on rise on that counter, or would you still stay invested?
So, the common mistake which is done by most levels of 1000, but the fall was decisive, and the first uptick from that lower level is pretty impressive, but there is no follow through buying. So if the counter manages to go about 1080, 1100 in just next 1 week or two, and the worst counter is the Petronet LNG, it's a clear sell, or rather if someone is holding, try to take an exit as early as possible.
Okay. As well, but let's pull up a Gallant Ispat on the screens and see what a Gallant is doing in trade. The stock is under pressure today, 3.5% downtick coming in there. Let's pull up a long-term chart and see what's months. It's up nearly 3.5%, which is still good in a market where we're seeing this kind of route, and a 55% up move coming in the last 12 months. Mayank Agarwal, CEO of Gallant Ispat, joins in. Promoters were actively acquiring shares from open market. 2.73 odd crores is what you've accumulated in 2026 so far, and this somewhere is reflected. Where I want to take this conversation forward is, what is that outlook looking like going ahead? And two, as a company, what is the impact that the Iran-Israel war is having on
NDTV network? Promoters are definitely very, very confident about the performance of the company. In a long-term perspective, we are on a good roadmap. Recently, we have acquired mines. We are also installing solar plants, and we are also enhancing our capacities. A lot of capex is being invested in the next 3 years. Potential debt on the company in terms of term loan, it's almost debt free. Just the working capital debt is there. So overall, the promoters have a very good confidence in the company, and we feel that we have a very good and exciting roadmap ahead for us. The current geopolitics issue, the geoeconomics are definitely being impacted. The energy prices are through the roof, both in terms of also being disrupted, resulting into much higher prices. Movement is not very easy in the sea coastals. we feel about in the current scenario. However, currently we are able to pass that impact to our customers, as it's we are primarily into construction steel, and this being a peak any issues. But if the war sustains for a longer time, it will definitely impact both the demand side and the cost side as well.
Okay, so Mayank, a quick one. You clarity to the viewers. And
so what happens is currently we are very well equipped with the energy stocks in different varieties of coal that we deal with. A couple of months, probably in Q2. For Q1, we are in a reasonable and in a very comfortable position where there is not much uptick. And
Afternoon, always a pleasure to have a chat with you. In terms of the value-added products, so you're talking about your core construction-related business. What kind of value-added products are we looking at going ahead?
Where we are producing even very specific grade military-related, MES-related construction steel, which adds a lot of value. We are also dealing with different grades into coastal areas and where critical constructions are there in refineries, etc. So a lot of value-added products within the construction sector itself is
okay, so basically we are seeing an impact in terms of pricing as well from here on. But thank you, Mayank. We're running short in time. We would be happy to have let's quickly look at a few of the other aspects that are in focus in today's day of trade. We have L&T that is in focus as well on the back of the Middle East war as we coming to you is we spoke to the management of Gallant Ispat. Any view that you hold for this counter? Because in the last 1 year, the returns are still pretty decent, 50.5%. It's corrected from the highs.
I think from current view, I think stock has a limited upside that could be 640, 650 range. So from my view, from fresh investor, one should wait, and if you are crucial, so stock can face some more selling pressure on these level also. So I think some pressure can come on these level, 460, 440. That could be ideally a good buying area. Consolidation could be in stocks.
Right, some consolidation might be there for Gallant Ispat, but moving on for L&T, we are focusing on. Company has come out with its interesting. We're joined in by Mahima. Hi, Mahima. What's L&T saying?
Right, so overall, Sharad, the MD over a weekend did come out with a media press release indicating that, from the overall 100 sites that they that they've spent 3 decades, kind of increasing their business in the Middle East in terms of renewable solar as well as data centers, and they call it their second home. What they're saying is that of these, kind of right now a halt in terms of operations. For the logistic and supply chain update, they've said that supplies coming from China and Europe are facing disruption, and new via Red Sea or Port of Oman. India business, they're feeling the pressure of shortage of gas, and around 60-70% gas kind of needs to come from the Middle East, and it comes from the Middle East and green ammonia is something that they're going to focus on, and renewables is then going to be the next opportunity. So energy transition is what they something that they're going to focus upon. But if you take a look at the performance since the war has started, it's
any kind of silver lining happening. Mahesh, I want to take your views in for L&T and currently how it's positioned. What are the medium-term prospects for the company?
Sentiment are not much positive for L&T. But from valuation perspective, stock has corrected more than 25% in recent few days. I think stock has a much more potential for do up delay for the particular period. But I think stock has a much more valuation. I think stock has a much more upstick, but sentiment need to improve. I think we have a positive coverage. So we are positive on Larsen, but yes, sentiment need to improve further.
Thing is there sentiment which is not improving, and that is gold financing companies. Let's pull out the charts, both of them. The gold prices have been reducing, and this is of course coming in because the global interest rate scenario is tightening, and because of that the yields are also jumping up, and now it's not even. And why these gold financing companies is important is because most of the loan to value ratio is in the gold itself. So a lot of profits which were there, they might evaporate going ahead, and that's why we are a little bit attractive to enter again, or will you see further downside in the gold prices?
We can't comment on much more on gold prices, but yes, valuation are attractive in Manap. Yeah, from these level, I think a 300 plus level could be achievable. Recently, RBI have also came up with some rules that is also keeping this time.
Okay, so that's with regards to where the gold financiers go in trade. But moving on, let's look at few of the other bank. That stock is also under pressure, and they're saying that there are no governance issues, but it's mainly difference of opinion that has made the chairman resign. In fact, apart from that, what they're saying is in terms of valuations, there could be a derating that could be happening in terms of valuations, and that's what the concern area is, and that is the near-term overhang that one should be watching out for. Mahesh, quick view when it comes to HDFC Bank. Would you use this as an opportunity to accumulate a HDFC Bank, or would you still be on the sidelines?
We are giving some low PE to HDFC Bank from last month because the view of management itself not very pretty positive on banks level. So I think some time need to give from HDFC Bank. I think we can see 1,000 plus level, but yes, we need to wait and watch further for any outcome from bank.
That's with regards to where HDFC Labs. Both of these counters are also in focus on the back of the brokerage note that has come in. Jefferies has maintained a buy on Paytm, and they have actually cut the target price to a 1350 from a 1400. Simon, albeit high sensitivity when it comes to contribution. They're targeting a 20+% revenue growth and an expansion in EBITDA margins, which will be mainly aiding the operating leverage. And what they're saying is that they're trimming valuation multiples, but are seeing a positive risk reward. Mahesh, your quick view, you're talking about pressure, you're talking about a positive risk reward.
Accumulate from these level, I think 1,250 level could be easily achievable for Paytm. So for Paytm, we are positive from these level, but from Pine Lab perspective, I think a little bit it's on our wait and watch list.
So there's a little bit of wait and watch list when it comes to the payment companies, but interestingly, Power Grid is in focus. Is coming in the overall operational parameters. Interestingly, BOFA has also upgraded the stock to buy from neutral, and the target price has been hiked from 301 to 340 rupees. A quick view on that, Mahesh, on Power Grid.
So advise our client to buy the Power Grid. I think 325, 330 level could be easily achievable for Power Grid, and valuation also remain positive side.
That's with regards to where Power Grid goes. The stock is, not that, it's still maintaining its stability with being on the borderline, not major pressure, trying to just inch towards. To you. With that, it's a wrap on this edition of Trending Stocks with Sharad, the team that put the show together, and myself. Lots more lined up on the other side. Please stay tuned to NDTV Profit.
केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ रे, दिल झूमे देखो मतवारा हुआ रे, केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ।
हर पल मनाओ केसरी त्योहार, विमल बोलो जुबान केसरी।
A lot of legacy brands are sort of struggling to catch up with the pace of the change that this new generation of consumers are demanding. Add to that a layer of social media where global trends are creating local demands, builds a perfect opportunity for us to probably scale our business, our mission.
For those who are not familiar with what Urban Platter is, how do you describe the company and what it does?
We are a specialty food company. Our mission is to make specialty and gourmet food available, affordable and accessible to everyone.
How do you
And sometimes when you want to buy an ingredient, have a certain quality of experience at home, it used to be a matter of struggle all the time.
2021 is when, Hari Bhartiya comes on, Jubilant comes on. That's a mega brand. But no investor activity since then.
In 21, we were very busy serving to the frenzy of COVID buying that was happening.
Yeah, that was the time when everyone wanted to become a master chef at home.
One thing I've learned is money is an accelerator. We were very bad at understanding finances and managing money.
Tamil Nadu twist. Join me in the midst of our people, language and politics. Vanakkam Tamil Nadu. Here we come.
He has been tracking markets for over a decade, spots the trends before they hit the screen. And he is now bringing his analysis to the show that the market watches. We dissect the company so that you, the investor, don't have to. Get the management to answer questions relevant to you. Watch Know Your Company.
Will the rising sun win with a hand in hand? Will the
Benchmarks trading under pressure and Nifty trading below 22,600. Sensex crashes 1,000. Sectors trade in the red. Precious metals lose sheen as concerns around Fed rate cut and a stronger dollar weigh on appeal. Gold wipes out this year's gains after posting its slump to a fresh record low. Sustained foreign fund outflows and elevated crude prices spell trouble, dragging rupee to a low of 93.94 versus the US dollar. Sources tell NDTV Profit that SEBI is set to meet today. A wide-ranging agenda includes fund settlement norms and changes to FPI framework for cash market trades. Shares of the Raymond Group trade with deep cuts after Chairman and MD Gautam Singhania's speedboat overturned in Maldives. Search underway for 2 more passengers, including Good afternoon. You're tuned in to Lunchtime Trades with me, Shreyansi Singh, and this is the show that gets you a roundup of everything that is happening in the world of commodities. That a very quick look at the market. It's been a dismal day of trade coming in, whether you talk about Nifty or Sensex. But first things first, let's take a look at Nifty because that's trading with a cut of about 600 odd points. When you talk about Sensex, in fact, you are looking at deeper cuts there. So it was at one point in time trading with a cut of about 1,800 points as well. As you can see on your screens also, that in fact has intensified, about a 1,900 point cut coming in as far as the Sensex is also concerned. When you talk about the sectoral picture as well, that's not looking all that great either. When you talk about all of the sectors, major sectors, you do have a shade of red that is very clearly visible on your screens as well. When you talk about some of these sectors, metals are leading losses. Realty also on the back foot with that 4.5% downtick also coming in. Sectoral laggards, even IT with that 0.5% cut also coming in is still trading with a negative bias at this point in time. When you talk about some of your stocks as well, you're looking at something like a those prices, silver as well as gold, that have been trading with a downtick as well. And when you talk about within the Nifty 50 pack as well, you're looking at something like a Shriram Finance trading with that 6.9%. Titan Company, Trent, BEL and HDFC Life are some of your top losers from within the Nifty 50 pack. And when you talk about key gainers right now, only 3 from those are some of the counters that are faring a little bit better at this point in time. But largely when you take a look at the global sentiment, that really seems to be transferring on to Indian markets as well, with that sharp cut also coming in as far as the Sensex is also concerned. But with that in mind, let's quickly take a look at oil prices as well and take a look at the kind of action that we've seen thus well, because Brent, of course, hovering above that $110 an ounce level, a barrel level. And when you talk about WTI crude as well, you're looking at somewhere close to 99. So that's something that you're looking at. Definitely something that the market is looking at is the entire situation that is unfolding right now when it comes to the Middle East war. We'll get your insights in just a bit when it comes to oil prices and gold as well. But before we do that, let's also set the context right. In fact, an NDTV exclusive report coming in from an undisclosed location in the Persian Gulf. You do have us, watching this very closely as the only one currently reporting also from the region amid the escalation in the Middle East conflict. Now, the Persian Gulf remains the most critical route leading to the Strait of Hormuz. We've been talking about this vital choke point as well that, takes a look at roughly 20% of global oil trade as well, but shipping movement has dramatically slowed down. Let's take a look at this report by NDTV's Tejashree.
Well, viewers, this
is NDTV exclusive because currently we are present at the Persian Gulf, and if we keep on moving towards the eastern coast, we will be reaching towards the Strait of Hormuz, and from there as we'll be reaching to the Arabian Sea, then Indian Ocean. This is the entire road map. But in fact, if we talk about so as to ongoing situation and the condition, we all know that what is happening there at the Strait of Hormuz because of the ongoing conflict between Iran and Israel. But currently, as we bring you this exclusive report from the Persian Gulf, we will be also showing you that entire visual which will be in the closest proximity towards the Strait of Hormuz. However, it will not be definitely very much clearly visible because of the restrictions. We are not allowed to go towards that very area. In fact, right now, and it is waiting for the transit is what I am being told. And if we talk about the Strait of Hormuz, we all know that the world's 1/5 oil passes from Strait of Hormuz. That should be around 20 million barrels, and in fact the major importers for the oil, the receiving countries are India, Japan and China, which will be majorly impacted if in fact this keeps on continuing. If we talk about the Gulf countries, which are the major exporter, say it be UAE, say it be Kuwait, say it be other Gulf countries as well, they are also not able to pass their ships through Strait of Hormuz. Number of experts whom we have been speaking with, they say that their ships are in fact either at Gulf. If we keep on moving, as I say, we'll be passing that entire stretch of Strait of Hormuz, but definitely we'll not be able to go there because of the ongoing conditions and current escalations that we talk about, but also in fact pass through Strait of Hormuz after Foreign Minister S. Jaishankar spoke with its counterpart there back in Iran. But important to note over here is what is the condition here in the sea from where we are reporting right now. You see, otherwise this entire area had a very smooth passage through Strait of Hormuz.
Reporting from the Persian Gulf itself, but when you talk about the resultant impact when it comes to crude prices as well, let's take a closer look at that as well. Like I mentioned, so it's fluctuating near the highest close since mid-2022. Brent in fact has surged by more than 50% since the war started, as you can very clearly see on your screens. About close to that $112 a barrel level is where Brent is hovering, and you can very clearly see that gap also between WTI as well as Brent. But when you talk about Hormuz, that has become a key flashpoint at this point in time. You do have IEA, or the International Energy Agency, that has warned that the market is facing its largest ever shock right now. When you talk about the word coming in from Goldman Sachs as well, you do have a hike to their Brent forecast. They've in fact hiked it to about $85 a barrel. And they're also talking about how flows via the Hormuz are going to be 5% of normal levels. When you talk about the next 6 weeks, when you talk about gold prices as well, you're looking at a plunge on the flip side coming in. Down more than 3% right now. Gold managed to in fact wipe out this year's entire set of gains. And you did have that resilience really providing some confidence to the markets. That seems to have waned away right now. You're looking at a lower chance of a Federal Reserve rate cut, posting its biggest weekly drop since 1983, and close to those levels is where gold is right now at. But with that in mind, let's quickly get you the insights that we promised earlier as well. Birren Vakil, commodity consultant, Paradigm Commodity Advisors, joins us on the show right now. Thank you so much, Mr. Vakil, for taking time out and joining us. First things first, I want to try and understand what you think is happening with oil prices. It's quite some volatility that you're looking at right now. How are you looking at the next 1 week then?
Gold prices $62 today. Dubai is around 140. Brent is around 112, and NYMEX is around 100. I think still Hormuz problems still remain unsolved. So I think we may see further tightness going forward. Say domestic comes MCX, we may see 9500 or NYMEX crude, which is popular benchmark among futures trader. It could hit somewhere around 110, 115.
No, absolutely. And I also wanted to get a sense of what you think is going to be happening when it comes to gold as well, because we've seen quite the plunge coming in as far as gold and silver prices are concerned. How are you then looking at the prices right now? Do you think they're going to manage to stabilize? Because it seems to have erased its entire trajectory for this year right now, gold.
In the initial sell-off during recent weeks, we have seen retail long liquidation, where we mentioned falling knife. Now it seems to be wholesale long liquidation. I think trade is unwinding. So gold is a victim of that unwinding. Still, I'm sensing meaningful downside risk still persist.
No, absolutely. And given all of this, how are you then looking at silver prices as well? What do you see happening for silver? It seems to be trading in tandem with gold, at least for the last 1 month or so. But how are you then looking at silver prices?
China is aggressive importer of silver. So I think here panic mode may subside going forward, maybe within 2-3 weeks. And silver may find base somewhere between $50-$55. Domestic term, 180, 190 could be a tentative floor. So relative to gold, silver seems a better bargain.
Absolutely, relative to gold, at least as of now, after gold really managed to erase some of those gains as well for the year, it's looking like a better bargain right now. But when you talk about oil prices as well, what do you then expect for the next couple of weeks then, given all of the geopolitical tensions that are abound right now, all of the headlines that you're also looking at? Just a quick word on what you're then expecting by the way of price levels for the next 2 weeks.
Next week, NYMEX may hit somewhere around 120, 125, and Brent could be 130, 135. Biggest worry is fertilizer and petroleum feedstock, that is naphtha, ethylene, PVC, etc. So this is the space I'm watching for.
All right, no, absolutely, and that space is also something that we're definitely also watching out for, and we'll, try and get some more insights in the next conversation as well. You were one of the first people to really call out that falling knife as well. Thank you so much, Mr. Vakil, for taking time out and joining us on the show right now. But let's also move on and talk to you about another explosive interview with NDTV. You do have renowned economist and geopolitical commentator Jeffrey Sachs, also professor at Columbia University, delivering a blistering critique when it comes to the ongoing Middle East conflict and military strikes on Iran. Let's go across and listen in to a slice of that conversation as well.
Unless there is effective intervention by the outside powers, I have been urging that the BRICS countries be very clear. The BRICS represents half of humanity. It represents half of the world economy. It's very powerful. It needs to speak with a clear voice right now, not punitively against Iran, which is under attack, but directly to the two aggressors, which are Israel and the United States. Let's be honest, which is very hard in public discussion these days, but let's be honest. This is a war of choice for domination over the Middle East by Israel and the United States. Nobody could want this. Nobody can believe that this is prudent, safe, legal, responsible. No one can believe that this is going to turn out well. It needs to be stopped. Unfortunately, the two protagonists of this war of aggression, Netanyahu and Trump, are not themselves stable individuals. They need help to back off and go home. And that help has to come from stable world leaders that have a lot of humanity in their responsibility to say you cannot get.
He starts by saying
others should help because clearly we need help, and then goes on to literally say we don't need any help because, we've bombed the hell out of them. They don't have an air force. They don't have a navy anymore. What do you make of this contradiction? And a lot of the American press has made what his intentions are and what he needs to end the war.
We're watching a disordered mind. He's an old that isn't filled with internal contradictions. We should not take this as our fate. We should try to head off the consequences of these delusions. This is a man who understands very, very little.
So there you go, that's the word coming in from Jeffrey Sachs as well when you talk about this particular development as far as the war is also concerned. But let's also talk to you about a big tailwind when it comes to the aviation sector. Of course, right now you do have Interglobe Aviations that is trading with a cut of over 4% right now. But you do have government, in fact, that has removed airfare caps that were put in place back in December 2025, opening the door for further fare hikes. But just as pricing freedom, in fact, seems to be returning, you do have cost pressures right now that are intensifying. In fact, Somit is joining in just to break down all of those developments.
Well, sentimentally, definitely positive that government has lifted the that they had kept was much higher than what the actual fares used to be. So it is sentimentally positive that we are looking here. Now, this with airfare cap removal, there could be more airfare hike that could come in because in past when they had taken the fuel surcharge, that was just accounting for to airline companies is how much could the ATF prices go up, and this change is expected to be announced on the 1st of April. So that is the first most important thing to watch out for. Second will be the demand. 5%, while the international air traffic is down by around 20-odd%. So that is also another negative. And the third negative that is coming in for the aviation companies is the fact that rupee has been depreciating, and nearly 70% of a cost for an airline company is dollar denominated. Now, how will that impact? Now, for Indigo, if you look at every 1% fall in rupee versus the US dollar, lowers their EPS by around 13%. Now, of this 13%, 5% is actual, while the 8% is a mark-to-market loss that the company incurs on the lease liability, aircraft lease liability that they have on their books. So 5% is the actual impact that could come in. Now, this realized impact or the actual impact is largely because of the crude that they're purchasing plus the maintenance costs that they incur, and all of these payments are done in dollar. Now, when it comes to fuel, every 1% increase in the fuel prices impacts Indigo's EPS by around 3 to 4-odd%. So that's the third negative that is expected to come in, and this will be announced on 1st of April. So though the airfare cap removal is positive, there is kind of a triple whammy that
No, absolutely, and it's that triple whammy really coming in as far as airlines are concerned. Thank you so much, Somit, for joining us with all of those details, especially when you talk about Interglobe Aviations, as you can see on your screens as well, about a 6% cut is what you have coming in. So largely what you're looking at is weak demand. Other than that, all of those new regulations as well that you're looking at. But talking about regulations, let's also shift focus and talk to you about the markets regulator, SEBI, that is set to meet today to deliberate on a wide-ranging agenda, and that includes a proposal to ease fund settlement norms when it comes to foreign portfolio investors as well. In fact, Nimit is joining in with some more details. Nimit, what are your sources telling you?
So the meeting for SEBI is likely to take place later today. The biggest takeaway from this is likely to be easing of regulations for FPI intraday netting norms, which means there'll be a lot more liquidity from them in the market because they will not have to hold a lot of cash reserve if they're allowed to set off their buys against their sells in the same day. So that is fantastic news that could be announced later today for FPIs in the market. The other big news that's coming through is that there's going to be an ease of doing doing business reform for both REITs and InvITs, which will be big in the capital market sector, especially for the real estate sector. The other big thing, the third big thing, in fact, is for SEBI officials, and there's going to be a disclosure requirement that's going to be announced. We don't understand what exactly this is, but we understand that there are going to be stricter requirements as opposed to easier requirements. They're going to tighten ship there. This stronger requirement frameworks is because of the transparency requirement that's coming through from the market. Largely, it's going to be a continuation of SEBI's market reform agenda that's been going on since early 2025. Let's wait to see what happens in the meeting that's going to start later today.
Absolutely, and thank you so much, Nimit, for joining us with all of those details when it comes to this particular meeting. Let's also shift focus onto another story that Nimit is tracking very closely. The government is pushing through a major overhaul when it comes to corporate law as well, promising easier compliance and faster capital returns when it comes to companies. The Companies Laws Amendment Bill 2026, in fact, rewrites several rules, and that's something that you're also looking at. There's a physical AGM from annual to once every 3 years. So that's an important change that you're looking at. In fact, Nimit is standing by with that entire fine print also. Nimit, let's go through this one also.
Yeah, back on this one. The Companies Law Amendment has been introduced. It's been sent to the Joint Parliamentary Committee right now for further deliberations. But there's two sets of important changes that come through. One to the LLP Act and one to the Companies Act. The LLP Act, the big news really is for international financial services centers like Gift City to make them more competitive, like setters can register under the LLP Act, which allows them a lot more flexibility in terms of reporting mandates and how they can maintain their books in India. Now, of course, foreign currency accounting has been mandated for these IFSCs, and there's limited flexibility when it comes to the rupee. But the good news is also for funds here, because funds, especially AIFs, can now register under the LLP Act, which is again freeing them up in terms of how they can structure their deals in India now. The other set of changes are for the Companies Act. The Companies Act, the big picture item that's coming through is, of course, the digitalization and going electronic. The Parliament has recognized that most communication is done electronically. They have allowed for companies to hold their annual general meetings physically only once every 3 years, and they can do it virtually or in hybrid mode for the other 2 years. Shareholder communication in the same way has been committees have been strengthened, their disclosure requirements, and their have been tightened extremely harshly. In fact, I would say company composition needs a small company mandate threshold has been raised. This means that more number of companies will have to do fewer registrations and compliances. This is broadly the trend throughout. A lot criminalizing them, moving them to civil offences. Higher penalties, of course, have been put in place for listed entities versus unlisted firms.
No, absolutely, and that's thank you so much for getting us all of those details. Looking at when it comes to this particular act or amendment, but let's also move on and talk to you about foreign investors that have turned aggressive sellers in Indian equities. But even in this selling spree, you're looking at with all of those details when it comes to FII action in Indian equities.
I mean, if you take a look at the last 1 year, around 2.6 lakh crore of equity is what we've seen selling. 23 odd days. We've seen the war escalate, and because of that, we've seen heavy selling. Before that, there was Trump tariff, which was, the reason as to why FIs were selling. Were high. Weak corporate earnings was also one of the reasons, and attractive global alternatives was also one of the reasons. Plus, there is rupee depreciation, which is always playing its part. Now, if you take a look at, that despite of this heavy selling, there were counters, small cap names specifically, where there was buying seen in the past 1 year. If you take a look at the names of those top 5 to 6 odd stocks, which reached to almost 12.5%. For something like a Knowledge Marine, it reached to 11% from 0.8 odd percent. Utkarsh Small Finance Bank saw buying from 1.3 to almost 12 odd percent. GRM Overseas, to give viewers a perspective as to, how these counters have done in the past 1 odd year. Highest gain has been seen by Knowledge Marine, which is up around 84 odd percent. Small Finance Bank, despite of FI buying, is down around 44%, and Artemis Medicare down around 13 odd percent. Now, what do these companies do? Just to give viewers a perspective, Artemis Medicare is a structure. For Jeevan Small Finance Bank, it provides collateral-free small ticket size loans. For GRM Overseas, it's a basmati rice exporter and manufacturer. And Zota Healthcare is basically a pharmaceutical company that manufactures, markets and exports pharmaceutical products. Now, this 5 years. GMR Airports, Polymedicure, PVR Inox, as well as Aavas Finances and Religare Enterprises. So this is the overall list as to how FIs have been buying and selling, and some counters where we've seen.
Joining us with that analysis, the FI selling pressure seems to really be continuing, and that's something that we're looking at right now. But that's all that we could pack for you on this edition of Lunchtime Trades. Thank you so much for tuning in.
केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ रे दिल झूमे देखो मतवारा हुआ रे
बोलो जुबान केसरी.
A lot of legacy brands are sort of struggling to catch up with the pace of the change that this new generation of consumers are demanding. Add to that a layer of social opportunity for us to probably scale our business, our mission 10x from here.
With what Urban Platter is, how do you describe the company and what it does?
We are a specialty food company. Our mission is to make specialty and gourmet food available, affordable and accessible to everyone.
How do you then
Sometimes when you want to buy an ingredient, have a certain quality of experience at home, it used to be a matter of struggle all the time.
2021 is when since then.
In 21, we were very busy serving to the frenzy of COVID buying that was happening.
Yeah, that was the time when everyone wanted to become a master chef at home.
One thing I've learned is money is an accelerator. We were very bad at understanding finances and managing money.
He has been and he is now bringing his analysis to the show that the market watches. Watch Sharad Dubey on Know Your Company. The investor don't have to get the management to answer questions relevant to you. Watch Know Your Company weekdays at 11:30.
People, language and politics. Vanakkam Tamil Nadu. Here we come.
Hello and welcome to NDTV Profit. My name is Varsha. Well, Innovision, which started as a manned private security services company, has since diversified its portfolio, to include today. To speak more about the company and the growth prospects going ahead, we are here joined by Lieutenant Colonel Randeep Hundal, who is co-founder and CMD at NDTV Profit. Pleasure to have you. Now whole India will participate in your growth story. So what are the targets set when it comes to revenue? 7%. So if you could help our viewers, the targets set for yourself, if you could update on that.
Yeah, morning Varsha. Firstly, thank you for having. It's been 19 years since we started this company. So when we started this company, we started this, as a manpower company, but then slowly we graduated into a tolling company. Manpower services and skills development. This is basically, the company is not an asset-heavy company. It is more, we require working capital for this company. So if you look at our to the working capital that we have. Now, having said that, that is was the reason that we have thought of, going public, because the growth sense is directly proportional to the working capital. And 2 years, we are very, very bullish about the growth here, and it would be to the tune of whatever that we have been able to achieve in last 2 years.
Okay, so can we expect,
Yes. So as I told you, since we have already proved this is our proven track record, it is nothing that, so since the company is fundamentally very the capital, this is the growth, that I can assure my investors in the coming my years.
Understood. And also, Mr. Hundal, when it comes to the utilization of the So what will be your net debt post, the IPO proceeds?
To be approximately, we are paying around 60 odd crores of debt with the company.
Understood. And Mr. Singh, coming to you on this, out of 3 segments, wanted to know which is the fastest growing segment, maybe next 2 years. Where do you see Innovision when it comes to the growth driver? So out of 3 segments, which will be the growth driver or the fastest growth?
Has been the toll plaza management, but the manpower segment remains our bedrock basically. But going forward, we expect
That was the management of Innovision giving their strong growth plans going forward. But now in the small cap show, in fact in the next half an hour, we'll take you through the most important. Now in the next half an hour, firstly we'll be speaking about de-development. Now this stock is down nearly 20% in the last 5 trading session. What is the impact of this LPG shortage on the show today? We'll be also giving you a host of stocks where FIs have been buyers in the small cap segment. Now if you look at in the last 12 months, FIs have sold equities worth nearly 13 billion US on this show, so stay tuned and keep watching Small Cap Buzzers. And we'll be also speaking about Nosal. Now the stock is up as much as 14% in trade, its biggest single day move that we have seen. stock has snapped its 2-day losing streak. It's up over 7% in such a weak market, and volumes are nearly 14 times its 20-day average. So what could be the potential reason behind this up move is also something. Open lower, continues to trade lower, down around 600 points in trade, trying to find some support around the 22,500 level. It's been hovering around the same level for the last 2 to 3 hours, so not much of an is clearly working as a defensive. It has fallen the least, down just 0.3% in trade, while there are some sectoral indices which have fallen nearly 5%. If you look at Nifty Consumer Durable, Nifty trade. In fact, the Nifty Small Cap Index is also down close to 4.5% in trade. But Varsha, when it comes to the small cap segment, which are the key stocks that have been buzzing in trade?
Well, the stocks that are be buzzing again, buzzing on the back of volumes at 94x. You have DCX system, you have Gujarat Alkalis, wherein if you see the volumes are trading at almost 10 times of its 30-day average. Butterfly Gandhi Mathi again buzzing in trade today on the back of volume. So normally the stocks are buzzing. The reason behind is only the volume. Onto the loser side though, you have ADF Foods, you have under pressure. So not much action as of when it comes to small cap stocks with respect to news, but everything is of course a volume game. But moving, what's the impact on de-development and what lies ahead for the company? We are here joined by KL Bansal, who is Chairman and Managing Director at De-Development Engineers. Well, Mr. Bansal, welcome at NDTV Profit. Always pleasure to have you. Just wanted to know the direct and indirect impact.
Ma'am, I would like to tell very clearly that, as far as our company is concerned, we are fully secure from this turmoil. There particular month only, and in coming future in FY27, it's 100% sure that our order book is more than 1900 crores as of previous. Full 1 year order book is much more than our expected turnover, which we are planning to do, which is around 1500 crores, and we are 100% touch a benchmark of 2,500 by FY30. That is for sure. As far as this small impact is concerned, definitely there is very, very small impact, but our all raw by some LNG supplies, and for that also, we are working on an alternative fuels so that, we are even insulated from that. We are getting ready to make ourselves handle that particular issue also. We are going in for either electrical furnaces. We are modifying our existing furnaces to electrical. To fire our furnaces. That is the only point, that is the only thing which we feel may impact us. But as far as other things like raw material availability, other consumables, and we do not see absolutely any reason for worry or reason for any anxiety in the coming year at least.
Right. Just wanted to understand in the Middle East region, how much of your order book comes in from those regions that could get delayed? Anything on that front?
Right now, we have one order going on, which impact on our sorry, revenue recognition for this March only. Otherwise, there is no impact, and that is also not very large order, maybe around 12 crore. Having little bit of anxiety.
Sir, on that note, what is the revenue expected for FY26? Because you were targeting 40 to 45% of revenue, which is that being impacted due to war? So just wanted to have a ballpark number for FY26 when it comes to your revenue and margins.
We should be in the range of 11. 1200 will be our top line, and we still maintain that we should be above 18% or around 18% as far as the EBITDA levels are concerned.
If you could also highlight the growth for us.
Around 20% on CAGR basis for next 4 years at least. There's no doubt on that, and EBITDA margins also.
You are mentioning that only one order is going to Middle East that could be delayed. But the 63% orders that you get from export market, which regions are you exposed to?
Now onwards, but major orders as of now, which is under execution, is going to Canada. And for Canadian order also, we are seeing an impact of 10 containers. Either been picked up, which we are supposed to bill in this particular month, or some containers we shall be getting on 29th of this particular month. So it's all established.
Okay, but also given the fact that this war has actually led to an increase in transportation cost, will that be impacting to you, or are you passing, or are you
sea freight increases, that goes to the customer account. Our terms are on FOB basis, so it has absolutely no impact as of now.
Right. And sir, also you were expecting a lot of orders from power. 100 crores of order from oil and gas and 700 crores of order for the same for FY27. What's the update on those orders?
Sir, most of those orders have already come in. As I told you that 200 crores worth of order in which we are L1. So we are expecting that all order should also come within this week itself. So, whatever targets or whatever projections we had given, and even for coming year also, we have a very, very healthy order book crossing 2,000 crores.
Okay. Well, thank you, sir. Thank you for joining us and giving us the way forward and the impact of Tapan, you heard the management. As per them, there could be some delay in the revenue recognition, but not much of an impact even after factoring in for the increased.
Good afternoon, Somit. No, the management comment is quite reassuring. No, I think less effect is there on this company. And if you see, their order book is quite good, almost 1.8 times of the annual turnover. As they already told, that 27 will be a good year for them, even for export. Yeah, see, currently for short term, there will be a pressure on margin pressure due to the raw material costs and all. I think at this valuation, I think the stock is available at a good level. So if someone is having that stock, please hold it. I think management point is quite reassuring. Hopefully, once this war is passed on, I think this company will.
Cues shaping up trade today. Let's bring in Sharath for more details on that.
Well, thanks a lot for that, Varsha, but nothing has changed since 10:45, the last update which we had taken, and Largely, we have seen a brutal sell-off continuing, and this is happening across the sectors. BankX also, the story is the same. The volatility, on the other hand, has increased. Last time it was 15% in the Indian market. Something pretty much concerning. Definitely the levels are on the lower side. Let's see what stocks are doing well in the trade. Long build-up includes Premier Energies and HCL Tech, but you should be focusing on the IT. This is where it is, Bharat Dynamics. Look at that. That's down almost 6.5%. While SAIL, all the metal stocks are seeing a big sell-off happening. And right now, the Muthoot Finance, the gold price stress, that's the big concern. But the sell-off is brutal here, and there might be some promoter stake sale overhang as well in this counter. So these are the stocks which should be on your radar, but it's an extreme day.
The FI side, in the last 1 year, they have sold equity worth nearly $13 billion US. But there are few small cap stocks where actually FIs have shown some interest and there have been a buying activity. And the same.
Right, so as you rightly mentioned, FIs have been constantly selling, and in the past 1 year, we've seen around 2.6 lakh crore of equity sold by FIs. And when I was trying to gather the data between caps, to start with, Artemis Medicare saw an increase in its holding from 0.6% to 12.5%. For Knowledge Marine, it was from 0.8% to 11%. For Utkarsh Small Finance, 0.5%, and Zoda Healthcare from 0.2% to 8.1%. Now, what do these companies do? Briefly, for our viewers' understanding, Artemis Medicare is into multi-specialty tertiary care hospitals. Finance Bank basically gives small ticket loans out there. GRM Overseas is into milling as well as processing and marketing of branded as well as non-branded basmati rice, and Zoda Healthcare is into manufacturing, marketing and given by Knowledge Marine has given a return of around 84% in the last 1 year, followed by something like a GRM Overseas up 64% in the past 1 year, then Zoda Healthcare at 31%, but Utkarsh Small Finance Bank and Artemis have given negative returns. Artemis down 13% in 1 year, and Utkarsh Small Finance Bank a downtick of around 44%. So this is the overall